Hello and welcome back to Super Hell, aka the Mysteries Podcast, a show where two recovering Supernatural fans subject themselves to a rewatch so no one else ever has to watch Supernatural again. My name is Ollie. You can find me on social media at Ollie Fresh, that's fresh with a PH, and my pronouns, whatever.
My name is Klaudia, my pronouns are she, her, and you can find me on social media at Klaudia says, Kaludia says. Yes, that is misspelling my name on purpose.
Finally clearing the air.
Yes,
in episode 65, you finally decide to tell the listeners why.
Yeah, it's an inside joke, okay? It's an inside joke, but it is purposely misspelling my name.
Yeah.
Welcome
So
back
true.
to season 6.
God, it's crazy. I was on Spotify. Fun fact, sometimes when I can't remember when an episode is supposed to come out, I go on Spotify and check when the last one came out instead of just like looking at my calendar. And I was reading through some of the comments, because you can comment on episodes of your favorite shows on Spotify, so please do that if you feel inclined. But I was looking at some of the comments, and I see a lot of people had said that they had stopped at like seasons, like where we are now. Like this was where they were like, I can't do this anymore, which is crazy to me because I feel like so many people made it through like
Season 8.
like when the show was popping off. Like season 8, season 9 tends to be like the drop off time. So I'm really fascinated, like people who watch Supernatural and care about it enough to listen to a podcast about it, but still haven't seen the Purgatory arc. Like I'm fascinated by your minds. And I say that as like a compliment. Like you got out when you should, like probably the perfect time to stop watching. You did. You're not like plagued with this horrible knowledge that we are.
Well, and also you got there like before some of the peak Destiel, so you didn't have to be like sucked in. You got out before the point of no return. And I think that's what's important. Because there's going to be some really peak. As soon as I heard Purgatory, I was like, I'm up. Like, oh, this episode sucks. I'm up. Like,
no, it's crazy. The thing about this show is that, like, some of the worst seasons have the best Destiel moments because they realize the only way to keep people watching is by queer baiting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so... I love this show.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But yes, I do. It's like okay, I know we said we were debating if we were going to talk about it or not, but the boys, the three principal cast members of this show, Jared, Jensen, and Misha, did an interview about like how this is the 20th anniversary of Supernatural this year because it came out in 2005. And I was reading this article and it was interesting. Like, I wouldn't say there was anything like too crazy in there. It was just a lot of them talking about being like, oh yeah, like it was so fun doing the show and we miss each other and like we're excited to be on The Boys together. And it was like weird acting together, but as different characters, all this stuff. Like it was a pretty like fun read. I would recommend reading it if you care. But I was reading it and I was realizing like, damn, this show has had such a big impact on my life. Like, I'm a very different person now than I would have been had I not watched Supernatural, and that pisses me off so bad.
Yeah. No, same. I'm like, ugh. God damn it.
I'm like, why am I getting emotional reading this when I talk shit about Supernatural on a podcast, like, all the time? Like, fuck Supernatural, but also, like, oh my god, Supernatural.
I'm like, fuck Supernatural, but when I see Crowley on screen, I'm up.
Honestly, oh, Crowley. This show is such a minefield because it has some amazing moments and then some of the stupidest shit you've ever heard in your entire life.
Yeah. I feel like these 2 episodes, they're decent. They're not the best, but they're decent.
Yeah, they're fine. I think that they like embody a lot of the issues with these seasons in general. Just kind of like, like they're entertaining enough to watch, but not like the whole arc of season 6, like the overarching story of being like, we need to find the alpha monsters and something's wrong with Sam. It's just kind of boring. Like, if I'm honest, I'm not really interested in what happens. Maybe it's because like I know what comes after that I'm like, I find that far more interesting in like season 7, like the Purgatory stuff, even though like it's still low-key sucks shit. But the stuff with the Campbells and the stuff with like the alpha monsters is just so boring to me.
It's so like, and it takes
like
such a long time to set up. Like, we finally get to the setup now, and we're 7 episodes into the season.
No, exactly. And even then, it's like we only really start to be like get into like the status quo in episode 8. Like, Oh my God. And it's like but then they sprinkle in appearances by characters who you actually like want to see, like Crowley, where it's like they sprinkle them in like just to keep, they're like, okay, we realize that these last couple episodes have been boring as shit. Quick, Crowley's here. Quick, pay attention.
They're like Castiel, Crowley, they're like, here, we're jangling the keys.
Yeah.
Like, it's so okay.
I feel like Crowley is really into Labubu's.
Created the trend because they are inherently satanic.
They are evil. No, because here's the problem. I saw Labubu's and I was like, those are so scary and ugly and I don't want one. And I'm like, I kind of need one. Honestly, I'm like, wait, I kind of need one. But also they're so hard to get. I don't need to talk about fucking Labubu's on. This is like dating this episode because I know in like 3 months they're not going to be popular anymore. And people who are re-listening to like our backlog are going to be like, oh my God, this again. Anyway, I just think Sam Boo Boo is really good. Crowley is lying on TikTok for clout, though, just to piss people off. That's, like, so true.
That's
like
his
he's committed to the
behavior.
It's so sad that he doesn't get to be on TikTok.
R.I.P. Crowley, you would have loved TikTok.
Crowley, after getting deposed as the king of hell on TikTok, begging people to send him, like, gifts on TikTok Live, like Jason Nash.
He's selling shit on TikTok Shop for real.
he's shilling stuff on TikTok Shop with the followers that he bought. He's like, yeah, see, I have 50,000 followers that I bought. Guys, this like set of lotions that I got on TikTok Shop are so good, and they're not. Spoiler alert. They're not.
Yeah.
I think TikTok or Crowley is something really good. We don't get into TikTok or AU enough in the Supernatural fandom.
No, we really
can we
don't.
get on that?
The jokes about the show ended like right before TikTok got really popular. The jokes about TikTok would have been so fucking bad.
Oh, it would have been horrible, and it would have been so demeaning. Like it would have just been. I know that they would have found a way to be like, women are stupid. Like I know that would have been the joke, and I don't know how they would have gotten there, but I know they would have found a way to make it like weirdly
if there's any
misogynistic.
Show that could figure that out, it would be Supernatural.
Supernatural gets the chance to be misogynistic, and it's like, oh my God, like the writers are like, guys, get in here. We found an opportunity to say something really fucked up about women.
And you're like, ugh.
No, okay. Literally. Okay.
We have to stop complaining about the show and talk about the show, which is so dark and so terrible.
Well, we're not even complaining. This is just, now we're just riffing. We're just having fun.
It's true.
I'm trying to like warm up the audience. Like, should we do more crowd work on this show? Hey guys, Please. If you're listening, I'm talking to you. Hey Sarah, I know that you're one of our listeners. And if your name is Sarah, this is about you. I know exactly who you are.
Oh my God.
And I'm dedicating this episode to you. I'm going to do some crowd work. What's your job? Wow, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. That must be hard. Supernatural? We have some really fun episodes to talk about. That what you just said reminds me a lot about this episode of Supernatural. Klaudia, why don't you tell us about it?
So harrowing. Guys, haunted by the spirit of a stand-up comedian.
Pre-recorded crowd work is great.
Pre-recorded crowd work on my Supernatural.
It's like the what is it? The angels in Doctor Who, where the doctor is like pre-recorded message.
Oh my God. Yeah, something that fucking Sam and Dean should do with the exorcism, but they don't because they're stupid.
The fact that we've established that like a pre-recorded exorcism works and they just don't have that booted up all the time, are they stupid?
So, also for the fans, we've talked on and off about our appreciation for the Supernatural wiki. But there's actually a different Supernatural wiki that we have not been utilizing. So this will be our first episode where we actually have the transcripts of the episode in front of us instead of our fuck-ass notes.
Dude, some of my notes are demented.
Oh, no, it's not good.
I was watching one of the episodes and I was like taking notes and I was like, man, like, what did this guy say? Like, the subtitles were wrong because the people who do subtitles for Supernatural, like, especially for Netflix, it just sucks so bad.
It's bad.
So I was like, what did that guy say? So I was like, Supernatural transcript, and a website came up, and I was like, wait a minute, why did I never look this up before? Oh, shout out to
6 seasons in.
Yeah, 6 seasons in. I never accused. I mean, we're watching Supernatural of our own accord. Like, you shouldn't have had to guess that we are stupid.
Yeah.
But shout out to supernaturalwiki.com for having all of the transcripts.
You guys are real. Like, you guys are real ones. I really wish we could have the scripts, though, because then we could see what goes. Today, we're going to talk about Season 6, Episode 7, Family Matters, written by Andrew Dabb and Daniel Laughlin. So that's where we're at.
And it's crazy, too, because I would argue that this is one of their better episodes, mostly because it's like mostly plot of just being like, let's get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of like, there's not really anything interesting that needed to be achieved by this episode. They just needed to get the exposition out.
Yeah. So this episode starts with, it looks like kind of blurry, and you realize it's from Sam's POV. He's waking up, he's grunting, he's groaning, and Dean and Castiel are looking down at him. And clearly Dean told Castiel what he did last week, which was beat the shit out of Sam when he found out that Sam knew there was something wrong with him and all that at the end of the last terrible episode. And what we find is that Sam is tied up in a chair, and Dean and Castiel are basically looking at him like disappointed parents, and they're co-parenting Sam basically. And Cass is like, yeah, you're right, he looks terrible, and like, you did this to him. And Dean is pissed. Like, Dean is so pissed. And Castiel starts asking all these questions. He's like, I don't know, has he been feverish? Is he speaking in tongues? And Sam's like, are you diagnosing me? And Dean's like, you better hope he can. Hold on. My voice is like, for the listeners at home, also, if I sound really hoarse, it's because I was at Anime Expo for 5 days, and all I was doing was talking.
Yeah. And I sound hoarse just because, you know, horses and all that. Horse girl.
Wow. So
anyway, sorry. I have to make everything about me.
No, it's okay. So Dean says an insane line. He says, what, you think there's a clinic out there for people who just pop out of hell wrong? He asks, you answer, then you shut your hole. Dean is being very, very aggressive in this scene.
Dean Winchester, I think if anyone's going to talk about shutting their hole.
Literally, I was like, So then Cass asks, how much do you sleep? And Sam says, I don't. Not since I got back. And Dean is like, you didn't think to tell me that? And here's where the lore kind of gets weird for me. Because I'm like, what about not having your soul means that your body doesn't need to sleep? Because he's experiencing every other regular bodily human function. Sleep is not normally a thing.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that. I was like, okay. I mean, like, I guess, I think it would be like an interesting thing of like I think Sam having almost like superhuman abilities because he doesn't have his soul. Like, I think there could have been something interesting there. Yeah. But that's not like what's been, it was just
it's
like
just weird.
There's a lot of things in this episode where like things will be said where I'm like, okay, so like not even a bad like idea, but like it doesn't make sense with what's been established.
Yeah.
And
You're
like
okay.
There's some stuff that happens later, and I think it's like kind of a sin of this entire arc, because it's like this kind of stuff, like the little things, but also like some of the overarching plot stuff. I'm like, wait.
What?
Yeah.
So Sam's like, I just never told you. And I'm like, wait, Dean hasn't noticed that he doesn't sleep. Okay. And Cass is like, how are you feeling? And Sam's like, well, I feel like my nose is broken. And Cass is like, okay, but that's a physical sensation. Like, how do you feel? And Sam's like, actually, I don't know. And then Cass is like, well, this is going to be unpleasant. He pulls out a belt and he's like, bite down on this. And he says, if there's someplace that you find soothing, you should go there in your mind. This is a moment where I go, hey, Cass, you need to tell Sam that you're about to do this. We have a consent issue here.
Cass he does not care. He said whatever.
He doesn't care. But the crazy thing here is that, so if you remember when he had to reach into that kid, he basically just reaches into Sam's tummy and roots around a little bit. And then Sam was like, oh my God, this is fucking miserable. And Dean's like, well, did you find anything? And Cass is like, no. And he's like, so is that good news? And Castiel's like, well, no, because physically he's perfectly healthy, but he has no soul. It's gone. Surprise, everyone. He's fucked up because
he has no soul. Spoiler for something that we've been talking about.
Yeah. And Cass is like, hey, so when Sam was resurrected, his soul is still in the cage with Michael and Lucifer. And then Dean asked the question, which is kind of the thesis of the whole episode, which is, so is he even still Sam? And Cass goes, well, you pose an interesting philosophical question. And here's another part. As they're having this conversation, they're standing closer and closer and closer together, as they do not need to be standing this close.
Someone had commented, another comment on our Spotify, and I am so sorry, I do not remember who said this, but thank you, because we were talking about it on the show, but I was like, it's so nice to hear someone validate that. This is like where it became queer baiting. Like these last couple episodes, like this is where it went from being like, oh, these actors just have really good chemistry, to being like, wait, we have to queer bait.
Dean's like, well, then let's just go get it back. And Cass is like, Dean, let's think about that. Sam's soul is in Lucifer's cage. And Dean's like, okay, but you pulled me out. And Cass is like, it took several angels to rescue you. You weren't as well guarded as Lucifer in the fucking cage. Like, there's a big difference. Think about this. And Dean's like, there's got to be a way. And Sam's like, hey, girls, like, are you going to untie me? And Dean's like, no. And this is where Dean is starting to get a little... And he's like, how the hell am I supposed to let you out of this room? And Sam's like, Dean, I'm not some psycho. I didn't want to get you hurt. I was just trying to stop the vampires, which if you remember, he lied to Dean and got him turned in order to figure out where the alpha is, all this stuff. Here, Sam says, I'm sorry. It won't ever happen again. Please let me go. And Dean's like, you're kidding. And they're fighting about that. And I have to spot here, and this happens a couple times in both of these episodes, is that Sam will do something incredibly untrustworthy because he's got no soul and he has no compunctions about anything. And then Dean will be like, how can I trust you? And I'm like, unfortunately, that's how real younger siblings act. That if Sam was a real person, that's how he would act. Be like, I'm never going to do it again. I'm so sorry, my big brother. And then do it again. Like,
well, that's like if they had gotten the chance to be raised in like a normal environment, like that's how Sam would be. But Sam is like, well, I had to be far too responsible because of the situation that we were in.
Like, soulless Sam is the closest we get to a younger brother being an asshole. Like that. Like, I'm like, yeah, so this is just like how that's like a normal sibling behavior, actually. But this whole episode is really about how Dean is really thrown by not being able to trust Sam, and how Sam just lies all the time because he doesn't have a soul. And Sam's like, are you going to keep me locked up here forever? And Dean's like, you say that like it's a bad thing. And Sam is really trying to convince him. He's like, I was wrong. I'm trying to get it right. It's still me. And Sam kind of sighs and he's like, okay, I didn't want to come to this, but you're not going to hold me, Dean. Not here in a panic room, not anywhere. You're stuck with the soulless guy, so you might as well work with me. Let's fix this. And he gets up and you realize that he has wormed his way out of the things tying him to the chair, the rope tying him to the chair. And so he's like, yeah, girl, I wanted you to say that you would let me go, but you didn't. Dean's like, fine. I'm going to be watching every move you make. And Sam's like, fine. Sounds about right. And then Dean is like, Cass, clean him up. And Cass like goes to like heal him because, you know, his face is all fucked up. And he's like, all right, if we're going to figure out what happened to your soul, then we need to find who yanked you out. And they're like, we don't know. Let's start a list. And Castiel's like, well, I don't know who has, you know, the kind of power to do that. And he's like, you have no memory of your resurrection. And Sam's like, no, I woke up in a field. That's all I have. And then Sam says, I've got one clue. And it cuts to the next scene. And you're like, who could that be? We cut to the Campbell compound, which we never see in the daytime. We only see it at night. It's so weird.
And it's so, like, dirty. Like, it's like, not clean. Like, guys, clean your house.
The rest of these people have, like, lives and like, places to be. And, like, you know, Samuel came back from the dead. But, like, don't ask questions. So
That's the thesis of this fucking episode, I tell you that. There's something that happens later that I was like, how did that happen? I can't. We'll get there.
Yeah. So clearly there's a lot of cars there, and there's a bunch of hunters who are prepping things, and Dean's like, Gramps throws a barbecue and leaves us off the Evite list? That's interesting. And one of their cousins named Christian is like, Sam! And then he turns to Dean, he's like, oh, Dean. And Dean's like, hello, Newman.
No, that was shady. That was so shady. He was like, the girls, no, they do not like Dean.
They do not like Dean at all. And so they kind of like tromp their way through the compound and they bust into Samuel's office. And Samuel's like, well, come right on in, I guess. And Dean's like, we need to ask you some questions. And they have barged in with Castiel, by the way. And Samuel's like, what is going on? And Dean's like, the day you got back, what happened? And Samuel's like, we talked about this. And Dean's like, okay, recap it for our wingman. And then Castiel appears standing next to Sam. I'm like, why is Cass acting like doing whatever Dean says? This is crazy. And
I think also Cass being like, Cass, I think, is probably dealing with some hashtag guilt about the fact that he let Sam, like, be on his own for that long. Like, he's like, or Pookie's mad at me still, I need to make it up to him.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And Samuel says, this Castiel, you're scrawnier than I pictured.
What the hell?
What the hell?
Colin's also not a small man. I'm like, what do you mean scrawnier?
Okay, you know what I wrote in my notes?
Oh, hell no. What? Say it.
It's that Samuel met his grandkids and he met Dean specifically and thought Dean was into bears.
Well, okay. Well, yes.
It was like, that's my
gay
grandson, and I love him.
We will see that this is my gay grandson who I don't really like, not because he's gay, but I don't like him for other reasons. Anyway, I really thought he was into bears.
He was into bears, and then he's into this twink. Like,
okay, okay. Calling Misha Collins a twink is like, that's deranged. That's delusional behavior.
He's not a twunk either, though.
No, he's not. I can't do this. I can't have this conversation with you.
We have to cut this out. Okay.
I'm leaving in you calling him a twink because I need the people to hear how insane you are.
I don't think he's a twink. I just think Samuel, who doesn't know the terms, would call him a twink.
Samuel can't. Samuel Campbell is not familiar with like a lot of queer terminology.
He knows bear, and that's the only one.
He knows bear, and it's only because freaking one of his gay little nephews, one of the other ones, was like trying to tell him about it. He's like, girl, I don't care. But he did learn.
Oh.
He's like, okay, Samuel Campbell getting involved in queer discourse. Like, I feel like he has big feelings about on like if asexuals should be involved in like at Pride. He's like,
he's learning terms, and he's like, write that down. No,
he's like causing problems. Like, he's going on to he's just been set up with a brand new Twitter, and people think it's a bot because it was just created like a couple months ago.
Oh my
and he's
God.
saying like, I think if you have a straight boyfriend and you're a bisexual woman, like you shouldn't bring him to Pride.
Oh my God. Okay.
And it's like, oh my God, dude. And people are like, why isn't this guy like don't interact with this guy, it's just a bot. And it's like, oh my God, like, go outside, touch grass. It's like, well, he can't touch grass because he's locked in his ugly ass bunker that no one has cleaned since like 1972.
And it's like a compound. There's like a chain link fence. It's so fucking stupid. You're like, don't any of these people have a house? Anyways, so
they're like, just let Grandpa sleep on the floor. Who cares?
No, literally. So they're like, so Samuel is like, oh, this is Castiel. Like, you're scrawnier than I pictured. And Cass is like, well, this is a vessel. My true form is approximately the size of your Chrysler building. Dean is like, all right, quit bragging. And you're like, okay, girl. Like, I know Dean is like, that's my man.
Right. I was just like, and you guys want a size difference romance? Now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas. Sorry.
I'm sure someone has drawn size difference vor Destiel.
Well, yes. I mean, absolutely they
yes.
have, I'm sure.
Well, yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. You know, like, if anybody sees any, make sure to send it to us.
You know what? Do it.
Size difference Destiel. Send it to us.
That's what I'm saying.
Something wrong with us.
You know what? And
mysteryspotcast@gmail.com.
And yes, correct. Here's a problem. I have such an appreciation for like fan fiction and fan art as a medium that like even if it's something crazy freaky or something that I'm like not personally like into or whatever, I'm still like, yeah, send it to me because I want to see it. And not from a like, oh, I'm gonna make fun of it way, because I'm not. I'm just like, I'm fascinated by like how some people's minds works and like how creative some people can be with like their freakiness.
Yeah.
Like, I respect our troops. I respect the people who are doing the work.
Yeah. You know, they're trying to ban them, but not in my country.
No. In my country, let your freak flag fly.
Yeah. Anyways, so
what were we talking about?
I don't know. So Samuel's like, yeah, I came back. I was up on Elton Ridge. Don't know how I got here. I don't have anything to hide. And Dean's like, well, do you mind if Cass double checks? And suddenly we cut to another room where Christian, the guy who is the cousin who hates Dean, like hears Samuel screaming from the other room, and he comes in, and Sam's like, whoa, it's okay, everything's fine. And Christian's like, what the hell? And Dean goes, angel cavity search. And Samuel's like, Samuel's like, I'm fine, Christian, just like give me a minute, whatever. And Samuel's like, just leave, like give us a minute. And Samuel's like, what was that for? And Castiel turns to Dean and Sam, and he's like, yeah, his soul is intact. And Samuel's like, what? Okay, Sam, like what's going on? And Sam's like, okay, so Diva, whatever dragged me out left a piece behind. And Samuel's like, oh, okay, so I knew it was something, I didn't know exactly, but like, you are a hell of a hunter, Sam, but the truth is sometimes you scare me. And then he's like, okay, so what's the deal? How do we fix this? How do we get his soul back? And Dean's like, well, we don't know, but we have to. And Samuel's like, yeah, I want to help, of course. And like, and they're kind of going back and forth. And then Cass is like, hey, Sam, Dean, I have to get back. And Dean's like, you're leaving, Pookie? And Cass is like, well, I am in the middle of a civil war. And Dean said, the girls are fighting. Dean says, you better tear that attic up to find something to help Sam. And Cass goes, of course, your problems always come first. I'll be in touch, and then poofs away.
No, that moment was like, whoa,
like,
what do
guys,
you mean by that?
Never go to bed angry with each other. Please, my Pookie.
That's what I'm saying. I like Cass being like, I'm literally fighting on the front lines, but I'm also, whatever. Okay, I'll drop everything. Sure. Okay.
He is like a harried wife in this season.
No, he's literally so put upon. Like, I think Cass really missed his calling, being like a 1950s housewife who has to act like everything's fine and can only express herself via passive aggression.
R.I.P. Castiel, you would have loved Quaaludes.
Holy shit! Oh my god, so true. Wow.
If Dean had like one Quaalude, it might have cured it.
There's been a revelation in the lab. Dean and Cass needed Quaaludes.
Much like how Sugar Ghetto needed estrogen.
Yes, that part, and I'm leaving that in. Guys, I edit out most of Claudia's anime references, but that was just a certified truth nuke, so I have to leave it in.
Okay. So Samuel says, oh, I would have asked him to stick around for a beer. And then Dean's like, okay, so what's with the book club outside?
Okay, also, Samuel being like, oh, I would have asked him to stick around for a beer. He's like, I kind of want to get to know, I want to be involved in this gay man's life. He's like, Dean thinks I hate him. He doesn't trust me. Maybe I need to ingratiate myself to him by hanging out with his boyfriend.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm trying to show I support the gays.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't have any parents who are still alive. Maybe he needs a grandpa to sort of do that. Little does he know, Bobby's already got that shit on lock.
Yeah, gay Bobby. Don't worry, guys, they'll be talking about Crowley this episode too.
Don't worry, Crowley lives on.
So
if Crowley is bad, then why does Crowley keep winning?
So Dean's like, what's the book club outside? AKA all their cousins preparing for fucking war. And Samuel's like, oh, we're putting together a hunt. And Dean's like, that's a lot of guys for one hunt. And a thing Sam keeps doing in this episode is that Sam cuts right to the chase. Sam can like detect if people are lying, which I don't know if it's a soulless thing, but Sam's like, oh, so you found him, the alpha, right? And he's like, yeah, he's got a lead on the alpha vamp. And Dean's like, how'd you find him? And Samuel's like, well, because we're good. And Dean's like, that's all you're going to share with me? That we're good? And then Sam says, well, when's the run? And they're like, and Samuel's like, oh, we're going at dawn. And Sam is like, you didn't call me? Why? And Dean goes, well, it's because of me. You don't trust me very much, especially when it comes to a big game like this. And Samuel's like, that's not true. And Samuel's like, it's not that I don't trust you. It's, I just don't know you. Not like I know Sam, because we've been hunting together for a year. But Dean's like, okay, I'll come. You call the plays, 100%. I'm here to listen. And Samuel's like, since when? And Dean's like, you know what, Big Daddy Bloodsucker, I ain't gonna miss that, but this is your deal. Okay, I'll follow your lead. I trust you. And then they're walking out of the compound, and Dean goes, I don't trust him. Dude's hiding something. And Sam's like, what? And Dean's like, well, I can feel it. And if you weren't Robo Sam, you'd feel it too. And Sam says a diabolical fucking line. He goes, just you saying you don't trust family, aka just like him. And Dean does not really pick up on that. And he's like, look, we hang close, we blend in, we see what we can pick up. And Sam's like, do you think Samuel's connected to this whole soul thing? And Dean's like, I don't know. It's the only lead we've got.
It's really funny, the idea of like, do you think Samuel's connected to it? Like, are you stupid? Of course. Like, and I'm not saying, because we understand a little bit more about like what the connection is and what's there, but I'm like, okay, the only lead you have is that you both came back on the same day and Sam came back without a soul and Samuel has a soul. Like, you have to be fucking stupid if you don't think that there's some connection here. Like, that's the whole point. This whole season is like, ooh, well, we don't know what's happening. And it's like, okay, like, yes, we don't know like exactly the minutia, but they're seriously dumb by the fact that they haven't thought to like go to Samuel and be like, okay, actually, what's up? Like, it just is mind-boggling to me how hard they are trying to not figure out what's going on.
They're really trying to stretch out the episodes.
Yes, and it's frustrating because it's like, there's a, like,
they're just smarter than this.
That's my thing is, I'm like, there was an answer, like, there's more later too that I'm like, oh my god, like, just do it. It's not like I could figure out how to do this. And I understand, I also never want to be the person who nitpicks too much, because I understand like if you're a writer, and especially after you've set the stakes so high of being like, the apocalypse happens, these boys have so much power, they have so many resources, all this stuff, I understand that you have to have a point where you say like, okay, like almost a soft reset of their resources and of like what they can do. Like, I understand needing to tweak things here or there, but it's to the point where I'm like, it's breaking my immersion.
Yeah, where I'm like, wait, hold on, that doesn't make sense. Like, okay, it's just, so we cut to Dean is trying to sneak into Samuel's locked office, and Christian, the annoying cousin, is like, you lost Dean, and he has his gun. And Dean's like, oh, I had to make a phone call, I just needed some privacy. And Christian's like, well, Samuel's locked office is pretty private. And Dean's like, well, it wasn't locked. And Christian says, who are you calling? And Dean's like, your wife, let her know I'm not going to make it over tonight. What?
Why did he say that? Like, I mean, he kind of ate. They're being so mean in this episode too, where I'm like, not like, I feel like Dean is always a little bratty. Like, he is always saying like stirring the pot, but I'm just like, bro, you did not need. You don't. Why are you antagonizing him?
It's just, I don't know. I think it depends on the episode whether or not they want Dean to be like this or more understanding, and it's just kind of a roll of the dice every single time.
It's fine too if he is antagonistic. Like, that is just how Dean is, and like, I'm fine with him saying some dumb shit. But I was just like, damn, like, especially right now when you like, I don't know. This whole episode feels like I'm just like, why did they say that? Like, that's like the whole thing. Every single thing either of them say in this episode, I'm just like, why did they say that?
It's just, anyways, I have a lot of those why did they say that in my notes. So Christian's like, I've tried playing nice, Dean, like, but I think I'm done. And Dean's like, wait, are you trying to tell me that you're a bigger knob than you've been letting on? And which is such a British way to say it. And
oh, you're a bit of a knob, innit?
A bit of a knob. Yeah.
You're a bit of a knob.
And Christian's like, I'm the guy who's been here doing my job, and who are you? You think we need you? You walk around like you're playing pro tennis. Only action you've seen lately is between your slut girlfriend's legs. Which, to try to insult someone by going, yeah, you fuck your girlfriend. It's just not a good diss.
Literally, you're such a loser, you get bitches. Like, what?
Like, huh?
That was so uncalled for too. I was like, what okay, here's the other thing I don't understand.
The tennis thing?
Well, yes. No, I don't understand this whole thing with Lisa, right? Because like, everyone in the show, all the Campbells are acting like Dean broke some fucking law by going to be with Lisa, when in reality, it's like Dean would have come back if they had said, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
Like, Dean, I have no doubt in my mind that like, because he did. I mean, when they showed up and when Sam showed up and was like, hey, like, we need you back, he dropped like, he had conflict about it, but because he'd been there a year. but he basically dropped everything to come help. So I'm like, why are you guys sitting here acting like Dean wouldn't have been there if he had known? Like, you guys were the ones who kept him out of it.
Like, I don't know. It's just the character motivations don't make any sense.
No, especially with all these Campbells, they just were like, oh, they need to be like antagonistic to Dean, but like the reason they're being antagonistic is a way that I'm like, what adult is acting like this?
And it's also like what?
I guess it does. Like, we do find out like later in the episode why, but
but also like, why are they? What were they doing before Samuel came back to life? Like, were they all hunting together? Okay.
I think,
Anyways.
okay, to my understanding, what it is that they are all hunters, like, independently, and then Samuel came back and was like, hey, girls, it's Grandpa, who I guess most of you have never met, because probably most of them were not born when Samuel died, because that was in, like, the 70s.
Yeah.
Or even, yeah, it was
so,
in,
like, how would they know he was their grandpa?
That. Well, yes, that part. But also what I think it's supposed to be implied is that he came back and was like, hey, guys, like, we need to start hunting the alphas, like, lock in. I'm setting out the Campbell bat signal, but it's like a can of Campbell soup instead of like a bat.
Not a can of oh my god. Okay. If we ask too many questions, we'll be here all day because this show is bad. So,
and this is not even like that bad of an episode. Like, we're just being mean because Andrew Dabb and Daniel Laughlin wrote it.
Yeah. So at this point, Dean's pissed because he said that, and then Christian's like, oh, you sure you want to come with us tomorrow? Accidents happen. And Dean, like, decides to be the bigger man. He's like, well, don't worry, man. I've got your back. Clearly Dean being like, well, I'm a better hunter than you. Which, like, is true.
Yeah, but also, I mean, when he was like, accidents happen, my mind was like, he's gonna kill him, right? Like, if he goes, he's gonna shoot him in his back and be like, oops, hunting accident. Like, he's gonna Dick Cheney him.
Please. Oh, wow. Imagine if Dean died Dick Cheney style.
I mean, he kind of, I don't know. I was going to say he kind of did, but no, he didn't at all. He didn't. Very different.
No, he died from Juggalo clowns, okay?
He died. I wish, never mind. You know what? I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to leave it at that. But I think you all know.
You wish he was shot by Dick Cheney instead?
No, I wish that Dick Cheney would die by Juggalo clown.
Well, yes. So we cut to the cars driving away, and then suddenly we're out in a forest. Everyone's getting out of the cars. Samuel's like, okay, the house where the alpha is just over the hill. There's about a dozen of them with the alpha. We get one shot at this, son of a bitch. And he's like, okay, Christian, you take the flank. Rest of you are with me and Sam. Dean and Gwen, who's one of their other cousins, you hang back. You get any of the stragglers. And is there a problem, Dean? And Dean's like, nope, whatever. And Gwen's like, what the hell? Like, I'm in the rear with the reject. And Sam's like, or Dean makes his face like, what? And Samuel's like, okay, let's go. And Sam's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. And Dean says, no, nothing's fine. You're not fine. Go. Fine. And then Gwen turns to Dean and it's like, okay, I'm sorry about the reject thing. And Dean's like, I've been called worse. And Gwen's like, I just get kind of sick of getting left behind. And she's like, well, I think it's probably because I remind Samuel of his daughter or something. And Dean says, well, you do speak your mind. And she says, well, I'll take that as a compliment. And he's like, you should. And that's cute and all, but like, you didn't know your mom like that. Like, you were very young when she died.
Yeah, but even so, but also keep in mind, you have to remember that John was probably talking about her all the time and was probably being like, yeah, she spoke her mind and she was so epic. But also, Dean did go back in time and meet Mary.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
I really like Gwen, though. I think she's fun. She's like one of my... so far, she's the most enjoyable Campbell to me.
Yeah, the rest of the Campbells, thin ice, but she's fun.
Yeah. Even Samuel Campbell's one I go back and forth on, and, like, I think that he's an interesting character, but, like...
He himself is annoying as shit. Yeah.
He's just... It's less even that he's annoying, and more that it's, like, we're 8 episodes into... Or at this point, we're 7 episodes into the season, and he still has yet to do anything that's, like... that interesting. Like, I know that's kind of the thing, is it's like we're just yet to know basically anything about him as a character.
Yeah.
And it's fine, like, it's not that serious, but the thing, like, I think it was Robert Singer who said like, the thing with the Campbells could have been interesting, but we just let it go on for too long. And I think that it's like, this point in the show is where, like, in the season is where it's like, okay, yeah, like, for real.
You're like, okay.
Pick up the pace.
Like what? It's very like, okay, what are we doing this? And this is where we do finally find out, but it's so stupid. So suddenly we hear branches snapping, and then something throws Dean to the ground, and it's a vampire. And then you hear a machete slice, and Gwen has sliced off the vampire's head and saved Dean. And the vampire's like body is on him, and he kind of throws it off. And she goes to like give him her hand, and he doesn't take it, like, and which is, I think, out of character for Dean. I know he's like having a moment, but like it was very weird.
Like why he didn't take her hand. I thought because it was set up, the shot was like him looking up at her. It was the shot was from his perspective, and she has her hand out. And I was like, I thought that it was one of those like prolonged shots where you get in a horror content where someone comes up and then it's like, oh, then they get killed. Like, I thought like a vampire was gonna show up and like get her ass, but it was just a weird shot and it was
very weird
moment.
It was very weird. And so he like refuses her because, you know, I guess Dean hates women or whatever the fuck. And then they hear screaming and Dean runs off, and she's like, dude, like, we were supposed to wait here. He gets to the house. He sees a woman screaming. It's one of the cousins. And then her blood splatters on the window. Then a man screaming and pounding on the window. And then someone else yells, Dean, something's going on. Then he walks around the corner of the house and he hears Samuel be like, Sam, come over here. And there's a vampire snarling. We see there's metal chains jingling. And we see that there is a vampire with a hood over his head being led into one of the vans. And Samuel's like, yeah, careful. And Sam is like, yeah, we got him. And Dean looks, and Dean kind of recognizes the hands. And Dean also, when he was walking into the house, he has a little bit of a vision of when he was briefly a vampire, the vision that the alpha gave him. And it's clearly this house. And he's like, oh shit, this is the house. And then he sees the guy and he's like, that's got to be the alpha. Why is Sam there? And the doors close and they get him in. And then Gwen finds him and she's like, oh, where were you? And then Samuel and everybody catches up, and Samuel's like, you know, everything all right? And Gwen's like, yeah, we just chopped up a runner, no big deal. And Samuel says, rough, but one alpha down. And Dean's like, oh, well, where is it?
And another thing to add is that because Dean ran off, and Gwen like doesn't say anything about it. Like she does not mention that Dean ran off. Like she looks at Dean, and you tell she thinks about it for a second, but she's like, no, everything's fine. Like she's like something's fishy.
Good for her. She said I'm not stitching, and good for her. So she's like, or Dean's like, you know, where's the alpha? You know, I want to pay my last respects. And Samuel's like, oh, well, you know, bring marshmallows. He's already on the pyre. And Dean's like, We cut to them all driving back. Sam and Dean are in the Impala. And Dean's like, oh, everything go okay. And Sam's like, yeah, fine. And Dean's like, oh, nothing weird. And Sam's like, no. And then suddenly Dean like revs the engine, record scratch freeze frame, takes the tires, takes the car off the road, shuts the car off. And he's like, Sam, I saw you walk that alpha out the door. Call me crazy, but that seems a little weird. And Sam's like, oh, you weren't supposed to know about that. And Sam's like, okay, so it's just something Samuel's been doing. He's been catching things, taking them somewhere, grilling them for info. And Dean's like, grilling them, torturing them, and not telling me that was his idea. And Sam's like, no, actually, it was mine. And Dean's like, huh? Sam's like, okay, honestly, you would mess it up. You shoot first, you ask questions later. We need to ask questions. And Dean's like, I don't care if you got soullessness or the freaking mumps. You know better than this, like, to lie to me. Do you even want... Yeah.
I have to add, Dean has not been shoot first, ask questions later for a while. Like, this entire season, he's been very, like, ask questions. And last season, like, Dean, I feel, has been very, like, wait, let's talk about, like, what's going on here.
I think it's more of just a thing of, like, they're trained to kill the thing and not capture it.
That's true. That's fair. I just am like, I feel like it's kind of silly to act like if you told Dean what the plan was, to act like he wouldn't at least be somewhat receptive.
Well, I think it's because Dean would immediately go, well, why? And for who?
That's true. Dean would ask... I feel like it's almost like Dean would ask too many questions.
Yeah. Because he does ask. Like, that's the problem. Yeah. So he's like, well, do you even want your soul back? And Sam's like, what does that have to do anything to do with it? And he's like, have you been to where Samuel takes the monsters? You know, have you been to one of these interrogations? Do you know what they're doing this for? And Sam's like, well, like I hear and they tell me. And Dean's like, why? Did you ever occur to you that this is like really shady? And Sam's like, well, this is our grandfather. Like, and I can't trust him. And he's like, yeah, well, the guy talks a great game, but you can't assume that family means the same thing to him as it does to us. He is not dad. You don't see it, do you? And I'm like, oh, Dean's regressing. No, my boy is regressing.
I would argue that I don't think this is regressing because at the end of the day, like one thing that is true about John is that even though he did have like, he was really shitty about it, he did care about his family and he did instill in them a very like family first mindset. So I think like this was less Dean regressing and more Dean being like, Sam, not everyone who is a hunter really gives that much of a fuck about family the way that dad did. Like everything John did was motivated by his family.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that his methods were bad and he still like abused his children. He was still in his mind, he's doing it for them, he's doing it for revenge for Mary.
Yeah.
Whereas they just don't know Samuel like that. They don't know his game.
This is another part that also doesn't make sense because Dean says, you've got no instinct. I mean, you're seriously messed up. And that's one thing where I'm like, what about not having a soul makes you not have good instincts?
I think like, it's because I think it's more about like people instincts because Sam right now like doesn't have any empathy. Like he can't like reasonably determine like how someone's feeling.
But on the flip side, they're having him like be like, oh, he can immediately tell when people are lying and stuff. Like almost too empathetic.
It's weird. This is a common thing, and I think this is not, you know, I don't want to blame the writers of this episode in specific because I feel like this whole soulless Sam thing is just kind of continuously contradicts itself. But I feel like especially in this episode when they try to like spell things out, it becomes glaringly obvious. But then I'm also like, oh, Andrew Dabb and Daniel Laughlin wrote an episode of Supernatural that contradicts other things that have happened on the show. No.
Even in their own episode? Yeah. Who was shocked?
Yeah.
So,
which is fine. Like, I'm usually fine with an episode. Like, if an episode has enough aura, if the vibes are good, I'm usually like, okay,
if Castiel
whatever.
Is there?
Well, not even that. But just like, if the episode is entertaining enough, I'm like, okay, like whatever. But I think the fact that this, like, first of all, I'm hypercritical because I'm mean and evil, but also because like this whole arc is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. I have. And not even necessarily that it's stupid, but it's like I have not been given enough reason to care.
Yeah.
At this point, so it's just like, oh my god, okay, like I'm feeling like I'm noticing the logical fallacies more because it's stupid. Like the plot itself is boring, so I'm noticing how stupid it is.
Yeah. So Dean is like, okay, nobody's forcing you to work with me, but if we do this, I have to drive the bus. I call the shots and you tell me everything, whether you think it's important or not, because trust me, you can't tell the difference. Or you know what? Go with Samuel and see how that goes, and it's up to you. So we don't know how Sam responded. We cut to Sam enters the compound alone and he's like, hey, Samuel. And he kind of startles him and he's like, oh, you got to learn how to knock. Like, where's your brother? And Sam's like, he's gone. He left about an hour ago. We just weren't seeing eye to eye anymore. And Samuel's like, genuinely, he's like, oh, that's too bad. And Sam's like, but I want in. I want, you know, the interrogations, everything. I can help. This family, this is it for me now. Whatever you need, I'll do. And Samuel's like, yeah, I know you will. But until we can figure out this soul business, I need you to like keep doing what you're doing on the sidelines. Basically can't like trust him. And Sam's like, yeah, but I can do it. And Samuel's like, actually, no, you can't. And Samuel's like, you know, I'm sorry. And Sam's like, okay. He goes outside. Clearly, he has stolen the keys to one of the cars that has some of Samuel's burner phones in them. And you can see he does something on one of Samuel's flip phones and then puts it back. We cut then to the Impala. Clearly, Sam is double crossing. And Dean's like, hey. And Sam's like, you didn't think I'd come back. And Dean said, I figured it was 60-40. And Sam's like, okay, so Samuel didn't take the bait, so I went with plan B. I fired up the GPS on one of his cell phones, and we should be able to track him right to the Alpha. And Dean goes, the old man won't notice. And Sam says, trust me, he thinks Velcro is big news, which is true and consistent with every episode they're at. He's like struggling with technology because he woke up in the modern era.
This is another really funny thing, though, is that Supernatural constantly does is be like, yeah, you can just track a cell phone like via GPS anywhere that it has been. And it's just very, and I don't usually mind, like, honestly, when shows have like a misunderstanding or like a misuse of technology, I'm literally like, whatever, like, I don't care, because I also don't understand really how it works. But sometimes it is just funny to me where I'm like, yeah, sure, what the hell, who cares?
I think they had that kind of technology then, but I'm not sure how it all worked. So immediately within this conversation, Sam has it pulled up on his computer, and then they're like, oh, there, we got him. So they show up to wherever the Campbells have gone, another warehouse. And they see that the doors
Campbell's
are
have a
covered.
compound.
And they see that the doors are covered in dead man's blood. And Dean's like, huh, smart, like lock down the place with vamp repellent. They go in and they hear in the distance something is being shocked. And Samuel is like, where is it? Answer the question. Where is it? How do we find it? And they're shocking something. And you hear the alpha vampire, who we've seen once already, and he's kind of sarcastically being like, ouch, stop, that hurts. Now, we need to have a second. We need to have a discussion, because the alpha vampire is played by a black male actor.
It's another moment of every time there's a character on Supernatural who's like an antagonist man who can be a little bit surly and deadpan. Like, they're really good at writing the same black character over and over again.
Yeah. And also the visuals in this, the first time we see the alpha in this episode, he is being kidnapped into a car where his hands are chained behind his back and he has a hood over him. And now he is being electrocuted in a cage. So you're like, oh, buy some white guys with guns. And you're like, it's
really one of those things where I'm like, if they had more black characters, it might not be like as weird. But I'm like, the only time they ever have black characters is to do shit like this.
Or to be a cop.
No, it's also, I have to say, another thing, way less of an issue than that. How did Samuel get there before them?
I don't know.
Samuel was okay. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy, because Samuel was at the Campbell compound. Sam and Dean get the location. Sam and Dean, to my understanding, went right there. Samuel was like in the building doing something, and he didn't know they were going there. So Samuel must have left before them, and this is where I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's just a plot hole, and I need to be okay with accepting that.
Like, maybe they just, like, maybe there's a time skip and then they fall. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't ask questions.
Okay, but that was also too hard. That was also weird to you, though, right? Like, I'm not.
No,
crazy
it was.
For being
I was like, wait,
what the fish?
How far away is it? I don't know. So
he used Limitless to teleport.
Please. So this vampire is like, oh no, like, stop, that hurts. Like, he's being very sarcastic. And Samuel is threatening him. He's like, this is Club Med compared to what we have planned for you. I have all the time in the world. And the alpha vampire is like, well, yeah, that makes two of us. Ha. And then Samuel leaves. And then Sam and Dean are kind of hiding as they're hearing this. And when Samuel leaves, the alpha vampire hears them, or he's kind of like smells them or whatever. And he starts laughing, and they drop a machete. And he's like, oh, you guys gonna hide there all night? Come on out. How can I help you? And so Dean and Sam, they come out and they're like, hey, we've got some questions. Dean says, we got some questions for you, Skippy, since you're going nowhere fast. And the alpha vampire just laughs and is like, okay, girl. And, Dean's like, well, you're locked down pretty tight with all that dead blood rushing through your veins. You don't have enough juice to fire up the psychic bat signal, do you? The alpha vampire is like, true, not near enough juice for that, Dean. And Dean's like, oh, I didn't realize we were on a first name basis. And the alpha's like, well, of course, like, you were my child for a time. And he's like, Dean, tell me, did you enjoy it? And Dean says nothing and just goes, I'm asking the questions here, Fright Night. He said, that's a problem for later, me. I'm not going to interrogate that one. So Dean now tries to shock him with the cage, and the alpha vampire's like, you know, you really think this can hurt me? He's like, when your kind was first huddled around the fire, I was the thing in the dark. You think you can hurt me? He's like, I got all night, boys. Like, I'm happy to tell you whatever you want to know. And Sam's like, why? And the alpha vampire's like, well, because soon I'll be ankle deep in your blood and sucking the marrow from your bones. So jot that one down.
Kinky.
I was like, oh,
sorry. I'm sorry.
Like, no, don't apologize. You're correct. But Sam kind of doesn't clock that, is immediately cutting to the chase. And he's like, you know, so you're really it. Like, you're the first of your species. And the alpha vampire's like, yeah, I'm the very first. And Sam's like, but if you're the first, who made you? And the alpha vampire starts kind of like laughing. And he's like, oh, well, we all have our mothers, even me. And this is where I was like, oh, I forgot about Lilith.
Not Lilith, Eve. Lilith is the demon. Yeah, Lilith is the demon from from seasons 1 through or not 1.
Yeah, but
season.
They bring her back.
No, it's Eve. She's the mother of the monsters.
Really?
Yeah. I think her name was
Lilith.
Eve. Yeah. I'm looking on the wiki. Yeah, Eve is the mother of monsters.
Oh, that is another reason I hated this season.
I don't think she shows up until way later, though.
She doesn't show up, yeah, but like the implications are frankly ass.
Well, yes.
Yes, this show hates women such big style.
Like we said at the top of the episode, this show will find a moment to be misogynistic and be like, do it, do it, do it. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Somehow we're going to be even more misogynistic than the Bible itself.
Wow.
Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. We are supernatural. Yeah. The Dean's like, oh, what does that mean? The alpha vampire doesn't explain. And Dean's like, well, what's with all the big surge of making more vampires lately? And the alpha vampire's like, well, we're going to war. And Sam's like, well, why? And why did Samuel bring you here? And immediately the alpha vampire changes the subject. And he's like, you smell cold. You don't have a soul. Huh. What an oddity.
Okay.
Like, do you feel
another thing I have to talk about. This is the supernatural thing where, and I know that this is just a storytelling device. Like, it's not that serious, but it is to me. Because in every time in Supernatural, they'll introduce something that's like a new novel concept that not a lot of people know about. Like, this was the thing with angels at first, where they were like, no one really knows if angels are real, but suddenly like, oh, everybody knows about angels. And you could argue that maybe it's because like post-Lazarus Rising, angels were just more prevalent in the world.
Yeah.
Like, were more involved on the ground, so other people were seeing the angels and like there was more proof that they existed, whatever. But that was the thing. And that was the thing with like the demon exorcisms, where they're like, oh, the devil's trap could work, but it's like all this new stuff that we're acting like is novel that Sam and Dean know, and then suddenly everybody knows about them. We have just learned. They've been saying, what's wrong with Sam? We can't figure out what's wrong with Sam. No one can know. Some random ass vampire, I know he's like, oh, I'm the alpha. He can just smell Sam and know he doesn't have a soul.
And it's also like
it didn't even seem hard for him.
I thought the vampires more it's more physiological than so, like,
yeah.
You know,
Another thing I have to say is like, this guy's the first vampire ever. Like, this shit is so stupid. Like, the whole alpha plotline is dumb as fuck, because you seriously mean to tell me that the first vampire ever is still alive and that he's living in like freaking Missouri or wherever they are?
You know,
that's stupid, right?
It's very stupid.
Okay.
But like, they have similar shit in Interview with the Vampire.
It's not
that
serious.
Crazy, but it is dumb.
That's my saying, is at the end of the day, none of the stuff I'm saying is really that serious, but it is stupid.
No, but it's very dumb, and they were like, we're not going to think this through that hard.
I'm fighting the urge to nitpick, and I'm losing. The battle.
And it's fine. That's why we're fucking here, okay? That's why we're here.
Guys, it's you know what? It is what it is. You know, it's probably because my tummy hurts, so I'm being extra mean.
No, but they deserve it. So the alpha's like, hey, do you feel how empty you are? What is it like to have no soul? Answer my question. And Sam's like, well, you first. You're the one in the cage. And the alpha's like, well, the thing about souls, if you've got one, of course, is that they're predictable. You die, you go up or down. But where does my kind go? And Dean's like, all right, enough with the sermon, freak. And the alpha's like, I'm trying to answer the question. Now, when we freaks die, where do we go? Not heaven or not hell. Oh, Dean says Legoland. And the alpha vampire's like, girl. And the alpha vampire's like, a little rusty on our Dante boys. And this is where I have to step in for a second and say, first of all, they have already established here that most monsters used to be human. So what we're establishing here is that they lose their souls in the process, and that's why they go to purgatory. Because killing the monster ones who were initially humans is often sending them, you know, to be at peace, but I guess not anymore. Now they have a special super hell, purgatory. And this is also, by the way, why people say super hell, because that's a separate thing from purgatory, okay? So here's the other thing, is that Dante's Divine Comedy, which I read recently, is also Bible fan fiction. And the whole concept of hell that we have in our modern era is based on this very detailed fan fiction that was basically Dante throughout his life writing very thinly veiled poetry about the political and religious figures around him and criticizing them through satire. And so all of our ideas about heaven and hell are based on this crazy shit, okay? I'm simplifying a lot, but I'll just say this. The Alpha would not have said this if Bobby was here because he's not rusty on his Dante. But anyways, so Dean says, oh, purgatory's real. And the Alpha Vampire kind of ate with this when he was like, well, you stupid cattle. And you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. So he's like, of course, it's filled with every soul of every hungry thing like me that has ever walked this earth. Now, where is it? That's the mystery. And that's what your kind-hearted granddaddy is trying to beat out of me. And Sam's like, so Samuel brought you here to find out where purgatory is. And the Alpha's like, I keep telling him, how would I know such a thing? But he refuses to untie me. And Sam does his little, I know that you're lying shtick, and is like, you know exactly where it is. So why does Samuel care? And the Alpha's like, well, he doesn't care. He does what he's told. And then Dean's like, well, if the old man's Kermit, whose hand's up his ass? Why does Dean talk like this?
Why would he say that? God damn. Kermit the Frog catching strays over here.
It's so... Then, of course, you hear a gun cocking. Samuel and their cousins are standing behind them, and they're like, ugh. And Dean's pissed. He's like, you know, I've seen some stupid in my time, but you take the crown. Putting Jaws in a fishbowl? How do you think that's going to end? I don't know what kind of game you're running. And Samuel's like, oh, well, do you think I'm doing this for kicks? And Dean says, I think you've got the rest of these Phoebes convinced that you're John Wayne. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're hiding, it's going to put you and everyone else around you in the ground. And as he does that, they have disarmed Sam and Dean, and this is where Sam and Dean try and get their weapons back. But Gwen shows up, and she has her gun out, and she's like, hey. And Dean's like, oh, I thought we had something special, which I'm like, don't phrase it like that. That's your cousin. But then we cut back briefly to the Alpha Vampire, who throughout all these scenes, he has been growing his nails out longer and like scratching at the like leather bindings that have him to the chair very slowly. And one of the cousins comes in to check on him, and he's like, hey, like, are you scared of me? And then the cousin goes to like shock him, and he's like, go ahead. And then he immediately escapes, and he's cut himself out, and he escapes the cage. And the man screams, and suddenly Samuel, the cousins, Sam, Dean, they're all like, oh shit. And Sam's like, okay, we don't have time for this. Grab your stuff. Let's go. And they see that the Alpha's gone, and Dean's like, how long until he's back at 100%? You know, all the dead man's blood has gotten out of his system. And Samuel's like, I don't know, maybe an hour, maybe less. And he's like, we need to get him dosed up and back in the cage. And Dean's like, no, but you know, we need to kill him. Take its head off, like the whole thing. And Samuel's like, and Dean's like, I don't care. We're gonna split up. We're gonna clear every room. You get a shot, you take it. It's not gonna kill him, but the dude will move a lot slower without any kneecaps, which is true. And he said, if we make it through this, you and me and Sam are gonna have one hell of a family meeting. And suddenly Christian runs in, or we cut to Christian was walking around, and he's like, oh, like he kind of puts his gun down. He's like, oh, you think he ran out? And suddenly the Alpha Vampire shows up behind Christian, and his bones start cracking, and Sam is like, oh my God. And Christian just like throws him aside. And the Alpha then grabs Sam and has him like up against the wall, and is like, oh, you're the boy with no soul. I've got big plans for you. It's amazing how that pesky little soul gets in the way, but not for you. You're going to be the perfect animal. And he goes to bite him, and suddenly who steps in and stabs him with dead man's blood, but it's Christian. But suddenly Christian, who we thought was dead, and then Christian is stabbing the alpha with the dead man's blood, and then you see his eyes flash black, and Sam is like, what the fuck? And then suddenly, everything's fine. There's slow clapping. And guess who's here?
Oh my God.
Crowley!
Yay!
Jingle, 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 jingle.
No, literally. And I'm like, wait, I clocked in.
You're like, it's Crowley! And Crowley's like, hey, boys! What an unexpected treat! And Samuel's like, bring Christian back. My nephew. You crammed a demon inside him. And Crowley's like, oh no, I had him possessed ages ago. He was following you around. I keep an eye on my investments. And Dean's like, wait, you two know each other? And Crowley says, not in the biblical sense, more of a business relationship, I'd
what
say.
the hell? No.
He's trying to fuck every member of Dean's family.
No, he's literally trying to get the whole set. He wants I feel like the only one he doesn't like want is Sam. And even then, I feel like if Sam asked, he would.
Yeah. It's so... And Sam's like, you're Crowley's bitch. And Sam is like, no, it's not what you think. And Crowley's like, it's precisely what you think. That alpha he caught me, it's getting him a gold star. And Dean's like, when do you give a crap about vampires? And Crowley's like, what's today? Friday? Since, let's see, mind your business. He ate that. So Sam's like, okay, share with the class, Crowley. We know you're looking for purgatory. Why? And he's like, isn't it obvious? Location. I'm a developer. Purgatory is vast, underutilized, and hell adjacent, and I want it. And Dean's like, well, what for? And Crowley's like, shut up. Employees don't question the management. And this is also where we're starting to find out that this season is just Undercover Boss starring Crowley. Like, it's so sorry. I also wrote in my notes there's an alpha loose in the hospital. Okay.
An alpha, like the John Mulaney reference?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So, and Dean's like, okay, we're not your employees. And Crowley's like, of course you are. You have been for some time now, thanks to your grandpa. He's like, I don't keep Captain Chrome Dome around for his wit, do I? Samuel knows things, more than any of you, actually. He's a walking encyclopedia of the creepy and the crawly, and I know that you two are a little too hung up on your family loyalty nonsense, and he said jump and you get froggy. So, and Dean's like, yeah, but it's over. And Crowley's like, actually, no. If you want to see Sam's soul ever again. And Sam does the you're lying thing. He's like, you're bluffing. And Crowley's like, I think you should tell them, Samuel. And Samuel's like, hey, so he pulled us both back. He brought us back, me and Sam. And Sam's like, you knew? And Dean's like, hold on. Cass said it takes a lot of power to pull something like that off. Especially because Sam was in the cage. Like, you're just some crossroads demon. And Crowley's like, oh my God, you didn't know? I got promoted. I'm the king of hell now.
Okay, I have to pause. In the episode where Crowley reveals he has Bobby's soul, does he not tell Bobby that he is in charge of hell now? Like,
yes, but I guess Bobby didn't tell them.
They knew. I'm sorry, there's no way Bobby wouldn't have told them. There's no way that they should not have known that Crowley is king of hell at this point. This is, okay, this is bringing me back around. So if for listeners who may have heard of the best-selling novel Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, I read Fourth Wing because I got a free copy because it was damaged. And I was like, I gotta see what all this is about. I gotta say, no beef if you like it. If you enjoy it, congratulations. I just could not. It made me feel dumber. That being said, like I said, if you enjoyed it, I'm certainly not trying to beef with you. Like, I'm happy that you had fun. There is a part in the beginning where one of the characters, the main character, is like, oh, all of the kids of these rebel leaders were forcibly conscripted, right? Messed up. And it's messed up. And she frames as being like, oh yeah, that's messed up. Later, like 3/4 of the way through the book, the main love interest, who is one of these kids, is like, yeah, we were all forcibly conscripted. And she's like, what? No. I'm like, girl, you knew this. You told me this earlier in the book. Why are we acting like we didn't know? And that is exactly what's happening here. And that was my only thought. Is I was like, this is just like Fourth Wing.
That's so dumb. So
anyway, no spoilers. I'm gonna read the second one soon.
No. Okay. So Crowley's like, hey, I'm the king of hell now. So I do have the mojo, actually. I snap my fingers. Sam gets his soul back. Or you can be you, and I shove Sam right back in the hole. Why are we talking about Sam's hole a lot? We are talking about Sam's. Okay, sorry. And he's like, I can't imagine what it's like in there. And I can imagine so many things. So we're clear. Me, Charlie, you angels. Job's simple enough. You bring me creatures. You aim high on the food chain. Everybody wins. It's been a pleasure. See you soon. And he leaves. And then Gwen is like, you're letting a demon call the shots? And Samuel's clearly like, oh, I fucked up. And Samuel's like, nothing's changed. We hunt, period. You don't worry about him. I'll take care of it. Do you trust me or not? Get in the van. And she looks pissed. And Sam's like, oh, working with a demon? You're not who I thought you were. And which is hilarious considering Sam has fucked a demon. But okay. And Sam is like, you're not who I thought you were. And Samuel's like, well, you don't know anything about me, son. And Dean's like, so what's so important that you're the king of hell's cabana boy? What do he offer you? Girls, money, hair? Because Samuel is bald. And Samuel's just like, I got my reasons. And Dean kind of blocks him leaving the room. And he's like, and Samuel looks tired. And he's like, you gonna make a move? Go ahead. And Dean's like, or what? And Samuel's like, or nothing. I'm not gonna do anything to you, Dean. You guys are your boys are my family. The way I see it, you have two choices. You put a bullet in your grandfather or you step aside. And Sam immediately cocks his gun. And he's like, he sold us out. And Dean's like, I know, but like, let it go. And Sam's like, why? And Dean's like, you know what? Just get out of here. And Samuel leaves. And Sam's like, okay, so what now? And Dean's like, well, we can't work for Crowley. And Sam's like, well, are you sure? And Dean says, I don't think you understand. Demons bone you every time. And I'm like, are we saying this literally? And Sam is like, okay, but like, do we really have another choice? And Sam's like, well, we could kill him. And Sam's like, well, how will we get my soul back? Like, we're gonna have to play ball. And Dean's like, I've done some stupid things in my time, but punching a demon's clock. And Sam says, look, just so we find another way. And then we track Crowley down and we give that son of a bitch what's coming to him. You with me, Dean? And the episode ends.
Wow. That was fine. It was fine.
Yeah. I have something else to say. When Crowley's like, yeah, I'm doing my big development project out of the nothing that is purgatory. All I thought was, R.I.P. Crowley, you would have loved Dubai.
Wow.
Is his plan not just Dubai?
Well, Yeah. That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
That's really a fascinating take.
Is it not?
I can't argue with you.
Okay. So that's that episode. It's nice to finally see Samuel be a bit more of a person, which is nice. Surprise, Sam doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what?
And Cass was here. Jingle, jingle, jingle.
Yeah, really, Cass and Crowley here being quick, look, pay attention.
It's like, the Campbells. Cass!
No, literally.
Also, the Campbells interacting with Cass.
Yeah, that's the problem is I think that there's so many fun character dynamics in Supernatural, and we're just not seeing enough now. Like, we just need to get into like the fun. Like, we need some drama.
We need Charlie.
That's what we need. This episode is just fine. It's fine, and I think it's one fine. Of the, like I said, it's one of the better Dab and Laughlin episodes because like. They don't really have a lot of room to work. They just kind of need to get the plot done. Yeah. And that's when they work best. As soon as they start doing humor, you're like, oh my God.
Ugh. Don't fucking remind me.
Well, time to do
ready?
Another episode of Supernatural.
Oh God.
This one does a really interesting thing where Supernatural's not good at staying in its lane.
No,
it's really like not good at staying where it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. There is a part in this episode where there's a creature who's called one thing, and because the indigenous people who this creature is a part of the culture of, you're not supposed to say its name. It is a thing that changes shape. So I'm going to call it a shapeshifter. But keep in mind, that is not what it is called in the episode. But I'm going to call it a shapeshifter. So it operates under different rules from a shapeshifter in Supernatural lore. because it is something different, but I'm calling it a shapeshifter. So just keep that in mind.
It starts with the word skin.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Not our lane, not Adam Glass, writer of this episode's lane, but I digress. It's also like doesn't follow any of the, I mean, you know, it's a part of a practice of a culture that none of us are from. So it's kind of like, it doesn't, I'm not an expert on the lore of them, but I'm pretty sure that it's not following what their lore is. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's not really important.
Yeah.
So anyway, disclaimers aside, this is season 6, episode 8, All Dogs Go to Heaven. We see the neon sign outside of this bar. And we see a guy, he's walking out, he's on his phone. He's like a businessman almost. And he's on the phone and he's like, did he eat? Like, you gave him a bath? Did you take him to the park? All these questions. He goes to get in his car and he's like, and did he make pee-pee and poo-poo? Good. Tell him daddy loves him. Be home soon. Was this guy talking about a dog? I assume so.
Yes.
Right?
That's
I don't know if it's ever stated, but
yeah.
I digress. There's like some lightning. We suddenly see like this guy from someone else's perspective, from like some creature's perspective, because it's in black and white and it's like looking at him through the bushes. And we hear panting. And we cut back to him. He unlocks his car. He gets in. He goes to put his key in the ignition. And suddenly we see from that other perspective again, something running towards the car and like snarling. And the guy sits up and he's like, what the? And then this creature's like attacking him. And the windshield shatters and there's all this stuff going on and blood splatters. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's dead. Supernatural. So, a very exciting start.
This is the first and not the last time we will have a weird episode about dogs. About people becoming dogs or dogs becoming people.
Spoilers for later in the episode.
Here's the thing, guys. We do not give a fuck about spoilers anymore.
No,
we don't care.
Don't watch this show. Bad. Don't watch it. It pissed me off too bad. We see like a restaurant, right? It has like an outdoor seating section. It's like an Americana. I think it's like a rib place. And Sam's sitting, eating out of a little plastic basket. It kind of looks like it's from Checkers. Or what is it called? Checkers when it's not on the East Coast? Rallies? Yeah.
I thought they had Checkers here.
They do, but it's called Rallies.
Oh, it's the same restaurant? It's like a Carl's Jr. Hardy situation? Oh, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
I didn't know that.
Ooh, I really want some Checkers right now. Ooh, guys, should I go vote in the comments below if you think I should go get Checkers after this?
There was a Checkers around the corner for me in New York where I normally am and normally live. And then it went out of business and they replaced it with what was supposed to be a Pizza Hut. And they put up the signage and the new paint and everything, and then just never opened the Pizza Hut. It's so weird.
That's so sad.
It's so weird. Like, they closed the Popeyes on the corner, replaced it with a Chipotle, and are now reopening the Popeyes 3 doors down in the time it has been since they put up the sign for the Pizza Hut that has never opened. It's so weird. Anyways.
That's so beautiful. Doxing ourselves.
Yeah. A little bit.
We see that Dean is standing near the table, but he's on the phone and he's got his food, but we hear him. He's like, no, Bobby, I know, but there's got to be another way. I don't know. Like he's going back and forth with Bobby on the phone and he's like, okay, well, like, whatever. If Crowley thinks we're just gonna, and then Crowley appears and is like, Crowley thinks you're just gonna what, Dean? And Dean gets freaked out and he's like, oh, hell no, what are you doing here? And Crowley's like,
I think the reason people like Crowley so much is he's the closest thing we have to the audience in the series.
So true.
Because he reacts to them in the way a normal person would, of like, girl, what the fuck are you saying? Like, shut the fuck up.
Crowley's like, and then Crowley's like, is that Bobby Singer? Give him a kiss for me. Dean's like, I'll call you back, and hangs up.
Krabby is so real.
Krabby is real. Well, he is there. They need a second chance romance, I think. So Crowley's like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you guys. I have a job for you. And he sits down at the table and like turns around, sits down on it backwards. Dean sits down and he's like, okay, I don't want this. Shove it up your ass. Fuck off. And Crowley's like, is there any way to talk to your boss? And Dean's like, you are not my, but like, cut that shit out. You're not my boss. And Crowley's like, okay, you need to quit clutching your pearls. You have been working for me for some time. Sam's been working for me longer. And Sam's like, okay, like, we did not know that we were working for you. Like, we were working for Samuel. We didn't know it was you. And Crowley's like, okay, realistically, does that matter to you? Like, right now, with the state you're in, if you really needed a soda, you would sell your brother for $1. So be so serious. Listen, okay, so here's what we're going to do. And Dean's like, no, we're not going to do that. I have done shady stuff over the course of my life, but I am not doing this. And Crowley's like, 10 quid says you will. And he reaches over and he puts his hand on Sam's. And Sam's like, ow. And we look and see that there is like a burning patch on the back of Sam's hand. And Crowley's like, oh, Sam, that hurt. Do you like hell? Do you like pain, Sam? You know, you need to stop thinking about this as like a deal. This is a hostage situation. You want your Sam? I own Sam. I own your brother. Do you understand? And he snaps his fingers and the burn on Sam's hand is gone. And Crowley's like, Dean, come on. It's not that bad. Listen. Okay. You bring a live alpha to me and I'll give you Sam's soul back. It's not that hard. It's not that serious. And Sam's like, what, is the alpha vampire not good enough for you? And Crowley's like, okay, first of all, you hush. I did not ask you. I'm not talking to you. Be quiet. Anyway, so here's the job. This businessman, this guy found dead in his car. His chest is ripped open. I think I said he put this newspaper down. Sam picks up the newspaper and he reads it. And there's a headline that's like, businessman falls victim to animal attack. And Crowley's like, yeah, and his heart is missing. What does that sound like to you? And Sam's like, oh, it's a werewolf. And Dean's like, no, it's not a full moon. And Crowley's like, werewolves turning on the full moon? So 09. And Sam's like, no, Crowley actually does have a point because like about 6 months ago, Samuel and I fought a werewolf on the half moon. So like something's not right. Like we have established in the show that monsters are not acting normal. And Crowley's like, okay, so it's settled. You guys go get this alpha werewolf. You bring it home to me. And we're all good. Goodbye.
This is the alpha werewolf. How do we know that?
No. I can't say that I know.
It's not explained.
I can't say I know. I can't say that I have an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was going to say maybe because like, oh, it's appearing not on the full moon. And then I'm like, no, we just established that any werewolves can do that.
That's like, huh.
Well, okay. It doesn't matter. So the boys are driving to this hashtag event. And Sam's like, oh, well, turns out this guy's kind of a dickhead, like the guy who died. He's like, he had a bunch of like really shitty apartment buildings and like houses. He's a landlord, so he sucked.
Anti-landlord Dean Winchester, let's go.
Sam was the one who was saying that.
That's Sam. And even soulless Sam was like, yeah, fuck a landlord.
Mm-hmm. Period. That part. But so Sam is like searching through like the research and Dean's like, oh, this is what you do now? And Sam's like, what do you mean? And Dean's like, okay, Crowley, and he says, quote, he's so far up our asses, we're coughing sulfur, but you're just gonna work the case? I'm like,
why phrase it like that?
No, because that is how Dean talks, and I love that. I thought it was funny. I thought it was awesome. And Sam's like, okay, well, he's kind of like got us by the balls. What else should we do? And Dean's like, I don't know. It's just like we're working for demons. I don't even know. I don't know. I just need a second. Which is funny because I'm like, Dean, you guys have like done stuff demons have asked you for before. Like, I know it's a little different of a situation, but I don't know. Sam's like, okay, listen, I know this situation sucks, but this is not because like of my soul. Like, I'm doing this because it's like this is what we have to do, right? Like, I'm also still me. Like, I might not have the soul, but I still have all my memories, my same brain. I like all the same music. I still think about like this girl from biology class. And I know you don't trust me. And I can't take back that I like let you get turned into a vampire that time. But I'm still your brother. Like, I'm still me. You can trust me. Yeah. So there's some tension. there's some tea.
I just love how many times he said that and then not been trustworthy. It's like, girls, just
Yeah.
stop saying it. Like, just stop saying it.
Exactly. So then we cut and we're on like this dock, right? And we see a body bag getting zipped up. We see Sam and Dean in their little FBI cosplays. And they walk towards the detective. And the detective turns around and he stands up. And Dean's like, hey, we're agents Holt and Wilson. And the detective is like, oh, what are the feds doing here? And Sam is being a huge dick for no reason. And he's like, oh, we're specialists. They call us in to answer the questions of mouth-breathing dick monkeys. And Dean is like, oh my God. Like, he looks at Sam like, well, you are embarrassing me. And Sam's like, okay, so are you gonna walk us through this? Or, like, what's tea? And the detective's like, okay, sure, whatever. He's a dock worker. Guy on the morning shift found him. His chest was ripped open. And Dean's like, oh, that just happened to, like, another guy in town. Like in a car. And the detective's like, yeah, it's the second one in 2 days. And Sam is like, are their organs missing? Like, they missing their hearts? And the detective is like, well, yeah, actually, how'd you know? And Sam kind of ignores him. And he's like, so did he have any enemies? And the detective's like, well, yes, but this was also an animal attack. Like, a person did not do this. And Dean looks around and he's like, so there's a lot of animals around these parts? Clearly, because there's not. This is like a more urban area. So they're like, they know it's I don't know why they're not just saying stuff like, oh yeah, well, we just wanted to check. We're just doing some follow-up. Like, they love making it so obvious that they are not actually federal agents. Then we cut. This is a really weird cut because the boys were checking in on this situation, right? And it was the middle of the day. And the next scene is Dean asleep, like, in the morning. And I'm like, dang, they were just, like, hanging out all night. Like, they did not do anything. They did one #interrogation, and then we're like, anyway, we got to go to sleep. I thought that was just a kind of baffling cut. So Dean is asleep. He's, like, face down on the bed. And I know his ass is up. I know.
Also, jeans on top of the sheets.
No, like, what the hell? At least sleep in your underwear, dude. Be serious. Like, you and Sam have seen enough of each other that that shouldn't be awkward. But Dean hears, like, something happen in the motel room. He kind of wakes up. He's a little groggy, and he sees Sam, who's already dressed, like, in his FBI outfit. He's got some papers that he's been researching, and Sam's like, oh, good morning. And Dean looks around and he's like, oh yeah, you didn't sleep because you don't sleep anymore. That's not creepy. Anyway, and Sam's like, do you want to hear, like, the information I got? And Dean's like, yeah, okay. And Sam's like, okay, so werewolves, they're like gone wild, right? They turn into wolves and they go for people they don't like. So I was looking at all the victims. I'm trying to get all the information. And I found a guy who they all know. Dean's like, okay, let's go talk to this guy. We pull up to a house. They roll up. They knock on the door. This lady answers, and she has this toddler who's probably, I don't know, like maybe 3 or 4. She's carrying this kid. And she's like, oh, like, what can I do for you? And Sam's like, is Cal Garrigan here? We've got some questions we want to ask. And she lets them in. And they come in and they sit down. They're at the kitchen table, and there's this German Shepherd. And she kind of, like, looks at the dog, whatever. And she tells the little boy, she's like, why don't you go play in your room for a little bit? So the kid goes off, and they're sitting, and she's like, oh, can I get you anything? And Dean is like, oh, no. So Cal, he's your boyfriend, right? And she's like, yes. And he's like, where is he? And she's like, oh, he's sleeping. And Dean's like, could you go, get him? So she's like, yeah. So she goes to get him. But then Cal walks in, and looks a little bit of a mess. He's sweaty. He's already dressed. And she's like, oh, Cal, we have guests. And the dog starts barking at Cal. And Cal's like, Lucky, quiet. And the woman, she introduces Sam and Dean, and she's like, oh, these are some agents who've come to talk to you. And Dean's like, were you out late last night, Cal? And Cal's like, yeah, just a couple beers with some friends. And Dean's like, okay, how many beers? And Cal's like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4. And Sam's like, well, if all you had was beer, then how come you're sweating vodka? It looks to me like you slept in those clothes, right? And Cal's like, I don't know, I guess. And Dean's like, okay, so you got super fucked up, you blacked out. This doesn't seem like it's your first time doing that. What have you been up to? And Sam's like, yeah, like, do you actually know what you were doing all night? And Cal's like, okay, like, what is it? And Sam is like, okay, we're investigating the death of Ronald Garrigan. That is the dock worker who died. And Cal's like, oh, my brother. And Dean's like, yeah, sorry for your loss. And Cal's like, oh, I thought it was like an animal attack. Like, we had our differences. I mean, you love your brother, but Ron, he had some problems. He is, pretty volatile. And Sam's like, oh, so last time he was here, you called the cops. And Cal's like, listen, he came in here. He was all like messed up. He was yelling. He shoved Mandy, who is the woman. He's like, yeah, he was being a fool, so I called the cops. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And then Sam's like, well, your landlord was found dead this week. You two are pretty far behind on your rent. He just sent eviction papers. And Mandy cuts in there and she's like, I'm sorry, I thought that was also an animal attack. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And Sam's like, yeah, funnily enough, both of them were. And Cal's like, okay, so what do I have to do with any of that? And Dean's like, we're just following procedure. You're good. You two enjoy your day. And we cut to them outside. And Sam's like, oh, well, that guy's like, oh, he's a real prince. And Dean's like, yeah, he didn't even know where he was last night. And Sam's like, okay, so let's go bag him and bring him to Crowley. And Dean's like, whoa. No, we've got to make sure before we do anything. And then he makes a rape joke.
It's so bad.
Not even like, it's not even really a joke, but it's just like, oh,
it's
okay.
Very out of place. You're like, okay.
Yeah. I was like, all right. I mean, I guess it's not even that out of place. I was just like, oh, okay. So the next scene is like Sam and Dean are in the Impala. It's nighttime. They pull up to like this garage and the garage door opens and it's like a bar inside. I'm like, okay.
I have a lot of questions.
Like,
also,
secret garage bar. Okay.
They have way too recognizable of a car to be doing stakeouts like this.
That's what I'm saying. No, yeah. It's a good thing they're never in the same town for more than a couple nights because, like, it's extremely obvious. But yeah, so they're parked outside this, like, garage bar, and there's, like, a jukebox and, like, a pool table and all this stuff, whatever. They look in, and we see Cal. He's partying with the guys, and Dean's like, dang, like, 3 scuzzy bars, 1 scuzzy strip club, a chili dog joint, 7 or 8 nightcaps, and now he's having scotches at the library. But like, he hasn't turned yet, so IDK. And Sam's like, okay, let's just see what happens. It is now daytime. They have been there all night. And Dean's like, okay, dude, the sun is up. And this guy, he's still on 2 legs. Like, he is not gonna turn into a werewolf. And Sam's like, well, not tonight anyway. And Dean's like, okay, we need to get some rest. We can come back to this. Then we cut and we see Cal like leaving the bar and he's like, all right, good night, man, like to his friends. Cal like goes to his car. I think he's like a truck, but he's standing outside, like he's kind of stretching. He's about to get in. His dog is there. It's the German Shepherd. His dog walks up and Cal turns around and he's like, Lucky? Like, what are you doing here? Lucky starts growling and suddenly the dog like attacks him, like brutally attacks him. And we see it like rip open his chest and like all this. And we keep switching from like the dog's perspective to just like the external, like the camera, because it keeps going from like this blurry black and white effect to regular. And then Cal's dead, right? Then we see a man appear and he's naked and he's breathing heavily and he has blood stains all over him. And you realize, oh my God, this guy's like a shapeshifter. He was the dog who killed him and now he's a man. So that's the thing.
Big whoop. Yeah.
The dog is actually a person. It's not a werewolf. It's a guy who turns into a dog. Then Then we cut to the house where Cal lived with his girlfriend, Mandy. Mandy's in bed, and the guy from the scene before, Lucky, is standing in the bedroom looking at her. He's been cleaned up. He turns into a dog, jumps in bed, and starts licking her. And then he lies down and they go back to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, sure. Then we kind of cut. It's a little bit later. Like, Andy wakes up. Lucky's like licking her face, and she's like, okay, that's enough. She looks around. She realizes Cal's not there. She's petting the dog, and she's like, oh my God, this is so typical of him. Lucky, you're the only decent boyfriend I have ever had. She gets out of bed. She goes to take a shower, and we see Lucky, watching her take a shower. It's like, right, disgusting.
Yeah.
We then cut back to this garage bar, and Cal is getting put into a body bag. Sam and Dean are there, and Dean's like, okay, so it's probably not Cal. And Sam's like, masterful deduction, Sherlock. And Dean's like, okay, so this is weird, because why would a werewolf be attacking someone in the daylight? Like, that's just not right. And Sam's like, oh, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. This just means we're down a subject, right? I mean, maybe it's Mandy. I mean, she's involved in just as much as Cal was. Why don't we go get her? And Dean's like, what? Sam's like, yeah, let's just shove her in the trunk, shove her up to Crowley. You can do it, right? And Dean's like, well, yeah, I can. Why the fuck would you ask that? Yes, I can do it. Then we cut, and we see the little boy, this Mandy's son. He's on the couch. He has a blanket on, and he has a temperature. And Mandy's like, oh, like, here's some juice. Let's get you better. Lucky walks up. He has a little stuffed animal, and he gives it to the boy. And Mandy's like, oh, I see. He knows you're not feeling well. He wants you to feel better. Lucky's like playing with the toy, and the kid is laughing. And he's like, oh, he loves you, doesn't he? There's a good boy. And it's like a very cute, if we didn't know, it would be a very cute little scene. And then, like, for no reason, the dog, Lucky, like, pulls on the toy, and it comes apart. Like, he rips the toy apart, and they're both laughing, and she's like, uh-oh, look what you did. You broke the toy. Ha ha ha. They're all laughing. I don't know. I feel like if my dog ripped its toy out of my hand, I'd be a little bit less like, oh, ha ha ha, you're so silly.
I mean, as someone who's lived with big dogs like that, they do that shit all the time.
That's true. I mean, I've also lived with big dogs for most of my life, so I know, but still, even then, I know when my dog...
I'd be like, girl!
When I was living at home and we had a very big dog, we had a Great Pyrenees. Whenever she would do shit like that, she was so gentle with her, like, stuffed animals. She still is. She's still alive. But she's so gentle with her stuffed animals, so I was like, oh, okay. We cut. Lucky is watching TV, and on TV, they're like, oh, like, we'll talk to animal control about the recent attacks, but first the weather. And then Mandy walks up, and she has a leash, and she's like, oh, come on, let's go for a walk. She goes to put on like a choke chain, and she notices on his leg there's some blood, and she's like, oh my gosh, did you kill a bird again? Bad dog. I'm like, if I found blood on my dog, I'd be a little less nonchalant about it, but okay.
I guess he doesn't look hurt, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess that's true. But even so, like, if my dog, she definitely has gotten some small animals, unfortunately. But even then...
Sorry. I just flicked a spider. Oh my god. Claire!
Girl,
Claire!
It's a spider. It's not that serious.
Where'd it go? Claire! I mean, I got it off the chair, but... Oh god, it's gonna crawl into my clothes. Oh god. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. I think I got it. I hope I got it. Well, I think I got it. I got it with one of my dress shoes. I just didn't want it to go into all my clothes, because that would have caused me a lot of harm.
Oh my god.
This is what happens when I record next to a big-ass plant.
Oh my god.
Okay, that was fucking harrowing. Okay. All right. We lived, we learned, we survived. Oh my god.
We made it.
I felt it crawling on me, and I was like,
oh, I hate that. I hate that bad.
So sorry.
So we see Mandy. She's walking the dog. She's like talking to the neighbor, whatever. And then we see Sam and Dean, and they're dressed in their FBI outfits again, and they roll up on Mandy, and she's like, oh, what are you guys doing here? And Dean's like, oh, nobody called you? And she's like, oh, about what? We realize no one's told her that Cal is dead. We're inside of her house, dogs on the dog bed. They're all sitting at the table. And she is really upset. She's like, I just can't believe Cal's gone, all this stuff. You know, they're like, oh, we're very sorry. And Sam's like, ma'am, I know this isn't like the best time, but we'd like you to come with us. And she's like, what, you think I had something to do with this? And Dean's like, no, we just have some questions. Just want to, dot our I's and cross our T's. And she's like, I really can't right now. Can we do it later? My kid has the flu and he was up all night. So and Dean's like, wait. You said your son was up all night and you were with him? And she's like, yeah, I had maybe like a half hour of sleep, I guess. But other than that, I was with him. And Dean's like, can I just talk to your son? And Sam's like, oh my God, like what difference does that make, Agent Holt? And Dean's like, okay, Sam, like just trust me. Or he doesn't call him Sam, but he leans to Sam and he's like, okay, just trust me. Ma'am, it's important. Just please. And then we cut and they're leaving the house. And Dean's like, well, it wasn't her. And Sam's like, well, no, you don't know that. And Dean's like, she was with the kid. You heard the kid, dude. And Sam's like, oh, she's lying. And Dean's like, she's not lying. Like, I don't know why you're so dead set on this. And Sam's like, okay, she still had plenty of time to wolf out. Like, last time I fought a werewolf, she turned while she was in bed with me. And if you'll recall, why are we getting so many shout outs to Madison from like season 1?
No, literally.
And Dean's like, okay, girl, don't make it personal. I'm just saying, I don't think this is a werewolf. Something's not right. And plus, I'm not going to give her to Crowley until we know what's going on. And Sam's like, okay. Why don't you go check out the crime scene and see if we're missing anything, and I'll stay here and keep an eye on her. And Dean's like, how about you go and I'll stay here? And Sam's like, Dean, like, you don't trust me? I still know how to do my job. I'm just gonna watch, I promise. Then Dean's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I don't know with how mistrusting he has been of Sam, the fact that he's just like, yeah, okay, sure. Like, no pushback on that.
Doesn't make any sense, but like, okay.
Okay. So we cut to the evening. Sam is standing outside the house and he's looking through the window of the house and he sees Lucky as a dog. And then suddenly Lucky disappears and there's a naked man standing there. And Sam's like, what the hell? He grabs some binoculars. He's watching and he grabs his gun because he's like, okay, I've cracked the case. Suddenly, like, Lucky leans over and then he stands up. He's wearing clothes and he goes to leave the house and starts crossing the street. And Sam is like kind of following after him. And then Lucky turns and like sniffs the air and he's like continuing on this path. And then he like jumps a fence, all this stuff. They're doing this little cat and mouse thing. We see Lucky talk to some guy, some bald guy. They're going back and forth. And Sam's like, what the heck? So Sam's trying to watch, and then Lucky turns around and sees him. And Sam's like, oh gosh, okay. Sam tries to chase him. Lucky turns into a dog. Long story short, he runs into the street and gets hit by a car. And Sam's like, oh fuck. So he runs up to try to get him. But the people who hit Lucky with the car are like, oh my gosh, like, it's gonna be okay, buddy. We gotta get him to a vet. Because, it's a dog they hit with a car. And Sam is just far enough behind that they don't see him. And he's like, that's my dog, stop. They drive off with Lucky and Sam's like, fuck. Okay.
It's also very funny because it's like, there's no, they never address the fact that he was hit by a car. He doesn't seem injured later when you see him.
Yeah, he was fine.
Also, if they're not werewolves and they're just doing the shape of, why do they have the characteristics of dogs, like the sniffing and stuff?
Also, my other thing is, if they're not werewolves, why are they taking the heart? Like, why has he been so meticulous about all the organs instead of just killing these people?
I don't
Red herring. On purpose.
Yeah.
So then we cut. Dean's in the motel room. He's looking at his phone. Lisa's name is like highlighted. Like this was back when you still had to use like the buttons on the phone to select who you were going to call on your speed dial. But he's just looking at the phone. He gets up to go get a cup of coffee from the coffee pot, and Sam calls him. And Dean, who's been like doing research and went to go look at the crime scene, is like, well, I don't have anything. And Sam's like, well, I definitely have something. This is not a werewolf. It's a thing you're not supposed to say. So I'm going to call it a shapeshifter. And Dean's like, a shapeshifter? And Sam's like, yeah, as in the family dog seriously needs a neuter. And Dean's like, oh, I haven't thought of a shapeshifter in years. And he's going through John's journal. And he's like, geez, I'm a little rusty on this. And Sam's like, yeah, you and me both, but I called Bobby. They can change anywhere, anytime, and they infect you with the bite. Which is like, I don't think that's what this creature does, but okay, sure, Supernatural. But Sam's like, yeah, they're basically a werewolf cousin, so we still kill them with silver, and I guess they still eat hearts. Sure, whatever. I don't know why they didn't just make this a shapeshifter, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
So Dean's like, well, what happened? Like, did you get him? And Sam's like, well, no, but I think I know where he is. So then we cut, and it's like a county-run animal hospital, which, to my understanding, is not really a real thing.
Yeah, I think it's just like a shelter and a animal hospital or something.
Yeah, but I digress. Sam and Dean walk in, and we see Lucky in one of the cages, and we see through his eyes, he's looking at Sam and Dean, and Dean walks up and he's like, hi, Lucky, you're a bad dog. And Dean is like, first things first, and he shows the dog his gun, and he's like, just so you know, this is silver, don't say I didn't warn ya. And he's showing him like the magazine clip. So he's like, okay, we can do this the easy way. And he holds up a pair of pants, or the hard way. And he holds up like a choke collar that you would put on a dog. And Sam starts laughing. And they both look at him. And he's like, what? Soul or not? That's funny. I'm like,
also, imagine you're watching the surveillance footage back at this shelter. And there's these two guys threatening this dog with a gun.
A dog and a pair of pants.
Yeah.
They're like, what? You know what? I'm sure that they see weirder things as an animal shelter employee.
That's true.
So then we cut. They're in their motel room. And Lucky, he's a man again. He's tied to a chair. And Sam and Dean are sitting there. And Sam's like, well, I gotta tell you, I'm a little confused. Like, why would you live with a family? Is this like a weird, like, kinky thing? Do you like to play with your food? Roll over, speak. Which I'm like, okay, whoa.
Sam, Jesus.
Yeah. Lucky's like, go to hell. And Sam's like, already been, didn't agree with me. So how about I take this silver knife and start carving some dog until you behave? And Lucky is like not interested in talking. And
I wish Sam would give us his real name.
No, I know. Well, he's only ever been Lucky. Now his luck is finally turned. That was stupid. But Dean kind of stops Sam, and he's like, okay, you don't have to tell me why you're with the family. I understand. You care about them. You killed every threat that came near them. As weird as this is, it's clear that you care. I want to know about that guy you were talking to. Is he a shapeshifter too? And he's like, I'm not telling you anything. And Dean's like, okay, like, if you don't, you realize that, like, you've been acting out. Mandy and that little boy, they are the ones who are going to be in danger. Like, this is going to reflect back on them. I don't really care about you at all. I want to help keep them safe. That is our angle. That's it. And Lucky kind of thinks about it, and he's like, yeah, that guy, he's whatever it is I am, and he's not the only one. And Sam's like, okay, like how many are there? And he's like, well, about 30. We were like, kind of recruited. I was living on the street and they found me and they told me that if they, bit me once that I'd be strong and fast and, all that. And Dean's like, oh, and sniffing people's butts? Yeah, that's a real step up. And he's like, well, yeah, that was for me, actually. And Dean's like, okay, so, like, where are the other ones? And Lucky's like, yeah, we're out, like, finding families and, like, waiting until they take us in. And then we wait for the word. And Dean's like, what word? And he's like, well, once we're settled, we get this signal, and then we are supposed to change our families. 30 becomes 150. And Dean's like, oh, so you're like a sleeper cell. And Lucky's like, well, yeah, I guess so. And Sam's like, okay, who are you waiting for? Who's sending you this signal? And Lucky's like, well, it's the pack leader. And Sam's like, you're alpha? And Lucky's like, what's an alpha? And Sam's like, the first shapeshifter. He's the strongest. And Lucky's like, well, he's plenty strong, but I don't think so. There's people like him all over the place. Like, there's a couple towns like this. Like, we are not the only ones. And Dean's like, okay, awesome. So you're going to help us stop him. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. No, we literally cannot stop him. They are ruthless. And while this conversation is happening, Sam holds up like a little tennis ball and is like whistling like, come on. And he throws it.
Sam's being an asshole in this whole episode.
And Dean's like, Sam, shut up. Like, that is not helping right now. But he turns his attention back to Lucky, and Dean's like, okay, for real. Are you seriously going to be able to do that to that family? That little boy, you're going to put your jaws around his throat and listen to him cry for his mom? Because I'm going to take a guess that these are the only people in your pathetic life who have ever showed you any kindness. So you can either do that or you can help us stop it. So we cut to Sam and Dean. It's the next day or later in the day. I don't know. I don't really know how this plan came to be.
Don't ask a lot of questions.
It seems like a really bad plan. Maybe that's just me. But
also, when did Sam and Dean get a sniper rifle?
I was literally thinking that this whole time. Thank you. And also a sniper rifle that has silver bullets. Like, what the hell? So anyway, Dean and Sam are at the Impala unpacking a sniper rifle from the trunk. And Sam's like, okay, how are we supposed to get near this thing that can, like, smell us from so far off? And Dean's like, well, like, that's why we have the sniper rifle. And Sam's like, so we're just gonna kill him? Like, this pack leader? And Dean's like, yeah. And Sam's like, well, Crowley's not going to be too happy about that. And Dean's like, who cared? Clap if you care. And he's like, but anyway, if that thing, like, lives and it knows we're after it, it'll send out its call and it's over. And all of these people, like, will get turned. And Sam's like, but it could lead us to an alpha. And then Crowley could give me my soul back. And Dean's like, Sam, 150 people at least are going to turn into monsters. Are you cool with that? And Sam's like, no, I'm just asking. And he's actually, like, the way he responds is not like, oh, I'm just asking. Like, he actually does seem like he's just asking.
He's like, but I'm just a little guy.
But Dean's like, okay, you know what? We cannot do this. You can sit here and say that you like basketball and apple pie and that you're still the same you, like, whatever. You can say that as much as you want. But the truth is, I don't know what you are because you are not Sam. And he's like, Dean, come on. And he's like, no. It's your same gigantor body. And it is, sure, maybe it's your brain, but it's not you. So just stop pretending. Just do us both a favor. Just be honest. Be real. Okay? And Dean takes the sniper rifle and he walks up to go to, like, a spot that they have established. Dean is just acting a little unreasonable right now. I mean, he's right, like, I get it, but it's like, you don't need to snap at Sam because you already know this about him. Like, we already know that's how he's acting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Leave Brittany alone. He's been going through it for seasons.
No, I mean, listen, Sam, I think, does deserve to get called on it, but I'm also like, Dean, he doesn't have a soul. He's not going to learn. Like, he's not going to change. You need to accept that this is how he is right now.
Yeah.
Now the plan really begins. Lucky's standing outside of this building, like next to like a garage door, right? Like a huge warehouse. And Dean is looking through the sight of a rifle at him. And Sam's like, oh, he looks nervous. Do you think he's going to double cross us? And, you know, Dean's like, why? I don't think so. Why would he? And Sam's like, I don't know. I would. You think he's not going to do it? Like, why? Because he loves that family? And Dean's like, yeah. And Sam's like, Dean kind of is like, okay, like, right. That's reassuring. I appreciate it. Whatever. Kind of giving him shit. And Sam's like, I'm just trying to make conversation. And then a car pulls up. And a bunch of guys start getting out of this car. And then the garage door opens. And 3 guys walk out of there. And I'm like, what did Lucky do? Did he call them to say, hey, I gotta meet up? Like, I don't understand this plan.
This is what I don't... Also, if they were going to shoot the alpha or the pack leader, what were they going to do about everybody else when those guys realized that there was a shooter? Like,
well, yes, that's a good question. But a guy gets out, like a couple guys get out of the car, whatever. They surround Lucky. And Sam points to one of them, and he's like, that guy, the driver, that's the one that Lucky talked to in the park. And it's this bald guy. And he's kind of like behind another guy, so there's like this, they're kind of grouped. And Sam's like, okay, take him out. And Dean's like, it's not a clean shot. We literally have one shot at this. If I miss and hit someone else or whatever, like, it's over. He's going to send out that signal. And then another guy opens up the back of this van they pulled up in, and Mandy and her son are there. Why are they there? Why is this, like, I don't understand how this meeting came to be or, like, what the purpose of this is. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, yeah,
so
it doesn't make sense.
Keep that in mind.
Wait,
I'm getting,
what?
you know what? I'm getting too mad. It's really not that serious. It's not that serious. Just don't think about it. It was never that serious. But Sam's like, okay, take the shot. And Dean's like, she's in the way. And Sam says, take it anyway. And Dean looks over at Sam like, girl, like, what? And then he looks back at them, but, like, they're ushering Lucky inside, and Mandy and the son, like, they go inside. Dean does not get a clear shot. And Sam's like, all right, plan B. And Dean's like, we have a plan B.
Could he have just shot the leg so then, like, to slow him down?
No, because if he shoots and they realize that there's someone coming after them, they are worried that he will send his psychic signal to be like,
yeah, you're right.
Kill your family, turn your family into shapeshifters. Inside the building, Mandy's holding her son, and she's like, please, like, you can do whatever you want to me, just, like, let my son go, all this stuff. And there's this big guy, and he's like, look, there's nothing I can do. The boss is pissed, you know, and they're talking to Lucky, and he's like, all these murders you've been doing, like, you're screwing up the whole plan. And Lucky's like, I know, I'm sorry. And Mandy's like, there's been some sort of mistake. I have no idea who any of you people are. This has nothing to do with us. And this same guy is like, it has everything to do with you, sister. This guy turns back to Lucky, and he's like, are you with us or not? And Lucky's like, of course I am. And he's like, fine, prove it. Turn them, both of them, right now while we watch, or I'll kill all of you. And Mandy's still, like, weirded out because she's like, who the fuck are these people? And then suddenly Sam rolls out. He just appears, and he shoots the bald guy, who I think is the one he was talking to. Like, that's the pack leader. She shoots him right away. Mandy's, like, freaking out because, yeah, Dean has the rifle. He's, like, somewhere in this warehouse. He starts shooting. Mandy runs over. She takes cover. Sam chases after 2 of them. Mandy is like, oh my God, like, it's gonna be okay. Lucky rolls up, and he's like, Mandy, like, come on, we gotta go. And she's like, who are you? I don't know you. And he's like, yes, you do. Just trust me. I'm helping you, okay? So they run off. And Sam is fighting one of them. Lucky pulls open the door to, like, this office sort of, like, storage room, and he ushers them in, and he's like, okay, like, lock the door and stay in there. Mandy, like, locks the door, and there's a window in the door, like a barred window, and she looks through, and she sees Lucky, who's still a guy. Meanwhile, Sam is getting attacked by a Doberman, and he shoots it, and it turns into a man. The same thing basically happens to Dean. And I can see why the reception of this episode was not good, because what it looks like is really just Sam and Dean shooting a bunch of dogs. So,
and it's not even the worst episode involving them and dogs.
Yeah, so I can see why this is maybe not, not it. Then we see the guy who was talking before. He's talking to Lucky, and he's like, oh, what? You're protecting them after everything we've done for you? Like, you have your life back. So I guess this guy is actually the pack leader. So I'm like, why did they waste time shooting the other guy? Like, I don't know, because
I guess
I'm like,
to get people out of their way so that they're not being attacked.
But it's like now he knows he could have sent off the signal at any time. I don't know. This is stupid. Anyway, but he's yelling at him. He's like, "You're nothing to them. Like, you're just a dog." And Lucky starts fighting him. And the guy's like, I was just gonna turn him, but now I'm gonna kill him. And they're fighting. Whatever. Lucky stands up, he turns around, he looks at Mandy, and off screen he transforms into, the dog, and he starts fighting this guy, and Mandy's like, wait a minute. Like, she's almost like completely like she's like, wait, not even scared anymore. She's just like, Lucky? What? Which is really funny.
This whole episode from her perspective is insane.
I know. I'm like, God, I feel terrible for her.
It's crazy.
Like a string of murders of people that you are tangentially aware of, then your boyfriend gets killed by an animal, and then your dog is a man. Like, this sucks. But so Lucky turns into a dog, and this guy he's talking to is like, oh, this is gonna be a dog fight, and then he pulls out a gun and shoots him. And he's like, that's silver bullets, Lucky.
What did you think he was gonna do as a dog? When he knows they have guns.
No, any of the time these guys turn into dogs, I'm like, you should just be a man. Like, this is stupid.
With a gun. Like,
literally. Oh, it was
stupid.
It was pissing me off, Loki. And then while this guy's gloating, he's like, oh, it's a silver bullet. Dean shoots him with the sniper rifle. And he dies. And then Sam runs up. And he raises his gun, I guess, to shoot Lucky? Like, was that what was happening? Like, Sam walks up and looks down and Lucky's gone.
Yeah,
like,
he was
Sam
there
was gonna
to
kill
shoot
him.
Lucky. Which is also, once we see Lucky again, he doesn't look injured. I don't know how much of a time skip it is, though, but
it falls apart. It really falls apart. And then we cut. And again, I don't know how much time has passed, but it's the day. Lucky's there. He's at Mandy's house, and he knocks on the door. Mandy opens, and she's like, oh, fuck no. And he's like, listen, like, I just wanted to apologize. You and Aiden, you're like the only family I've ever had, and I know that sounds crazy, but, no one's ever been so nice to me before, and I just wanted to thank you. And Mandy, rightfully, is like, okay, you're a psycho. Get away and never come near me and my son again. And he's like, oh, I know I probably deserve that. And she closes the door in his face. And then we see this hilarious scene of him turning back into a dog. It's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be sad, but it is funny. He turns back into a dog.
And they're trying to make us feel bad for him, but it's objectively creepy.
He turns into a dog and is like sadly walking down the street. Like,
it's so weird.
It's so funny. This shit is so stupid. Then we cut, and Sam and Dean are like at this park, right? And a woman has a dog and she jogs past, and Dean's like, geez, I'll never look at a dog the same way again. Makes you wonder though, right? And Sam's like, huh? And Dean's like, no, like how many packs of these things are out there? What if there is some big signal and some conspiracy, that we just don't know about? And Sam's like, well, anyway, but I was thinking, you were right. And Dean's like, what about? And Sam's like, well, then I'm not your brother. I'm not Sam. And Dean's like, okay. And Sam's like, well, no. Like, I was talking all that crap about being the old me. Like, that's all bullshit. For example, Lisa and Ben, right? I've been acting like I care about them, but I don't. I really couldn't care less. And Dean's like, okay, so that's actually not making me feel any better. And Sam's like, okay, you wanted the real me. This is it. I don't care about them. I don't even really care about you, but I need your help. And unless I am real with you, you're going to leave. I've done things that are way worse than you know about. I've killed innocent people in the line of duty, and I'm pretty sure that's not something the Ollie would have done. And I probably should feel guilty about it, but I don't. And Dean's clearly getting agitated. He's like, okay, what are you trying to say? And Sam's like, okay, I don't know if how I am is better or worse, if I'm honest. You know, I get the job done and nothing really hurts. Like, I don't know. I feel like before it was just harder. But, you know, there's a lot of other stuff too. And I think about how I was, and I don't know. Let's just say I think I should probably go back to being him. And Dean's like, well, you know what? Like, that's the best I'm going to get. That's a step. We're going to do what we got to do, and we're going to get my brother back. And then the episode ends. It was funny. It wasn't as bad while I was watching it as it was while I was describing it.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I feel like that's how that show is, because when you're watching it, you're like, okay, like, there's a flow.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, damn, this shit sucks.
Yeah. Also, the implication at the end that, like, it's not Sam's natural state to be a good hunter because he's compassionate.
Don't love that.
Oh.
I mean, I think that there is something
my heart is hurting.
This is so weird, because I also feel like part of me is like, it kind of is Sam though, because like he doesn't have his soul. It's a very Catholic discussion of like, what is the soul and what is the body.
Yeah.
It's very Bible fan fiction, but not in an overt way.
Not in a fun way.
No, it sucks,
and when in
too.
JJK, they have very interesting conversations about what is the soul and what is the body, but not in this fuck ass show.
Oh my god, I can't, guys. I've been rewatching Jujutsu Kaisen for Curious Minds because, as of recording this, they're putting like the first arc of season 2 in theaters, and I'm about to go by myself to see it because no one wanted to go with me, and Claudia's not in driving distance.
We don't live in the same city.
I know, but I would go to your city so we could go together. But no,
I
she said, I have to go on a trip. I'm I'm in a different state. I'm really far away now. Whatever. But the point is, I've been rewatching it and I have brainworms right now. So I've been really brave and not brought it up for the last little bit that we've been recording.
Also, you just finished the manga, so.
Oh, it's really dark, guys. We can't talk about it. We can't get into it. I digress. That's something that, despite having some insane writing decisions and honestly, some of the time not being all that good.
Yeah.
It's still leagues and miles better than Supernatural, and I wish I was
that
talking
part's on the ground.
I wish I was, especially these seasons, but like, I wish I was talking about that right now. No, I digress, though. It's just, this whole... It's also, like, if this was in service to an overarching plot that was interesting, I could probably grin and bear it. But right now, it's like, it's not only kind of boring, it's also not, like, a good episode itself.
Yeah,
like it's not good in the context of the story, and it also isn't good as a standalone episode.
It's just it's so aggressively mid.
Yeah. Like, it's not even bad. It's just like, it's not very entertaining and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the first episode was better. It still wasn't great, but like, it was more enjoyable.
That's because both Crowley and Castiel were there.
I feel like this it's moving away from novelty. Like, it's moving away from fun episodes, and everything kind of feels the same.
Yeah. That especially starts to happen in the bunker seasons, too.
Yeah.
God, the bunker.
Oh, God. I mean, I don't even mind if it ends up going to, like, a procedural thing. Like, I'm fine with every episode kind of having a similar feeling to them. But the problem is that it's, like, every episode is them doing the exact same thing, trying to figure out what's going on with this big thing that's happening.
Yeah.
So it's less even that it's formulaic and more that it's, like, okay, nothing is happening.
Yeah.
There's no character development happening either, because we're just, like, something's wrong with Sam. Yeah, I know.
That's been happening for like 6 seasons, we know. Don't worry, guys. Around season 8, they switched to something's wrong with Dean. For the next...
You know what? At least it's something new.
At least they mixed it up. Then it's something's wrong with Jack.
Period.
Oh, they're like, it's something wrong with Castiel.
Well, yes. We have to get out of here before I start getting so angry it's not fun to listen to.
No, because the more we think
guys,
about
where the Empreg at?
Please!
Where the Empreg at? I'm bored.
I don't know. Are there any fun tidbits in the wikis about this episode?
There's not even any fun trivia. I looked and it's like, it all sucks.
I wish they'd give the guy Lucky a name. You know, if this show had any balls, it would like the commentary about like, oh, they took homeless people and they're targeting them as a part of creating American monsters might be an interesting theme, but this show doesn't have any balls or brain. So
it doesn't have any balls, and it also doesn't have anything to say, because there's so many parts in Supernatural where I'm like, this could be a very interesting critique on American culture, and then it is like, anyway, we're gonna scratch the surface of something interesting and then not do anything with it.
Yeah.
Can you tell I didn't enjoy this? Can you tell I'm excited to be done?
We warned you guys. We fucking warned you. This is how we would be.
We should have, we've been warning the audience, but really we should have warned ourselves.
Yeah. Should have been like, I am the ghost of Supernatural future.
Oh my god.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll get to more Destiel. We'll get there.
Destiel, save me.
Please. Okay.
I'm just waiting for Benny, honestly, at this point.
No! When Benny comes, we'll be like, Benny!
Oh, I'm like, thank God you're here.
Yeah, okay. Okay, or Garth. I love him. Okay.
So true.
So.
They should
kiss?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have some big news.
Great news.
I have some great news. Supernatural season 16 is just about them.
That's so true. It's a spinoff. Maybe that can be the Supernatural spinoff that actually happens.
Because it's about two white guys.
Well, yes. Benny can come back. A ritual happens and Benny returns, and then they need someone who's gonna teach him the ropes of being a monster in a modern world. Okay,
Garth and Benny, like a vampire and a hunter loves a vampire and a werewolf love story.
Yeah, exactly, guys. Spoilers: Garth does become a werewolf. Damn, this show's dumb as fuck, but I think we could make that happen.
But Garth is like the most cervacious.
He's the most cervacious character, honestly.
He is.
Except for the fact that the first time I watched the show, Garth pissed me off so much because I was just like, oh my god, get over it. But okay, we can't talk about Garth yet. The problem is, this show sucks so bad, but there's so many parts of it, even from later seasons, that I'm like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for that. Like, I can't wait for Rowena.
Oh my god, can I tell you something? Rowena was not a character in the episodes I've watched. I have never seen her in anything except for the Winchesters.
Oh, she's so cervacious. I'm very excited for you. All
right, guys,
she's a little problematic, but she's very cervacious.
Well, yes, she's a Supernatural character, so that is to be expected.
Okay, we have to sign off now. So, I want to thank you for listening. For more Cursed Supernatural content, you can follow us on social media at Mystery Spotcast on Blue Sky, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok. You can ask us Cursed Supernatural questions in our Tumblr Ask Box, or by emailing us about MPreg at themysteryspotcast@gmail.com. If you enjoyed listening to this cursed recap, rate the show. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a comment on Spotify or on our YouTube channel, which we also have. Or just tell a friend. Curse them with this knowledge. You know. If you have a song you want us to put in the Mystery Spotcast official playlist, you can fill out the form in our show notes. We also have our Destiel Fic Rec form in our show notes. And we'll see you 2 Tuesdays from now for more slaying people, queerbaiting things, the supernatural business.